Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? I'm Uncivil Law. I hope you're having a decent day, and I'm here to report that unfortunately, Charlie Kirk has been assassinated by a person yet unknown. He appears to have been shot about 200 yards away from where he was appearing in the exterior of a college campus in Utah, and it appears that he was shot from a nearby building by a person who, as of yet, not been located. The weapon, of course, has not been established at this time. Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck based on frame by frame, and you can go watch it from, Alex Jones if you want to go see a close-up of it. But he was shot right about here on the neck, as best as I could tell, at a slight angle, it appears, because you see the blood here, and then you see his shirt collar ripple. So as best as I can determine from the images that are available, which are not great, but he was hit about here and then kind of went sideways and hit his collar. And in the first 3 seconds of him being shot, what I would estimate to be something like 4 cups of blood came out of his neck in a fairly river-like stream. So it was a significant amount of blood loss that was comparable to the blood loss suffered by the Ukrainian girl who was stabbed on the metro line in North Carolina. If you've seen that video and seen the amount of blood that was there, the amount of blood that came out of his neck seemed comparable based on, potato cameras, because, it was, the shots were, heavily cropped. So it's a little bit hard to see exactly what's going on, but it seemed comparable. And so, he lost an incredible amount of blood, and he bled out basically immediately. I'm pretty sure. If he made it to the hospital, I would have been amazed, because, that amount of blood, I mean, even if he had first aid people right there, I don't know that. Yeah. So if he didn't bleed out by the time he made it to the hospital, I would have been amazed. So in any event, President Trump has sent out a note relating to this incident, and it is incredibly disturbing on a number of levels. So I'll just put up, CNN screen. So, yeah, apparently Trump believes he was shot, and also, for what it's worth, Real America Voice,
all of us,
also believe he's been shot.
The lie that the left is the party of peace, that can now be put to rest. People like him.
So that is apparently what's going on. And my thoughts on the issue, I'm not really one for the idea that we're near a state of civil war normally. I'm not that guy. Tim Pool and others have been talking about, America with a new civil war for what seems like several years at this point. So I'm not normally that guy. But between, of course, the assassination attempt of President Trump, the death of the Ukrainian girl in North Carolina, and this recent assassination, and perhaps even more importantly than the events themselves, the news coverage relating to those events, at least to me. I mean, you can estimate for yourself what's more important, but I'm going to go with the news coverage itself because I think it's more of a systemic problem, right? You could argue that the events themselves are somehow isolated, but the media's reaction to them is more indicative of a systemic, and when I mean system, I mean the media, because you can see it as a system, because it's system-wide on the mainstream media. We can see how they react or don't react to the story. If Charlie Kirk were, for example, someone like George Floyd, or someone like Michael Brown, or someone like, insert your own person in the sentence, then obviously the media's reaction, exactly what the media's reaction to that would be. You and I both know what the media's reaction to that would be, right? If Charlie Kirk were some sort of prominent, notable person on the left, and he had been assassinated, a black man, presumably in the scenario, then you know exactly how coverage would go, right? You know the riots would be happening in the streets, and you know how the media would be fawning the flames of that and all the rest of it. And the media's reaction or lack thereof and how they've covered the Trump assassination attempt, the death of the Ukrainian girl, and now Charlie Kirk's death is notable for their lack of reaction. You know, ever since the initial headlines, for example, when the assassination attempt happened at Trump, and the initial headlines were things like President Trump falls down at rally, right? Those kinds of headlines you remember, I remember, Pepperidge Farm remembers, right? And so the media coverage, or the disparity of the coverage in how they cover things like the death of George Floyd, or the death of Michael Brown, or the death of, you know, or the shooting, for example, the shootings of Kyle Rittenhouse, or the shooting of Zimmerman, or by Zimmerman, or, you know, other notable incidences where it's been a left-wing claw celeb, you know, versus how they've covered, for example, or lack thereof, you know, for example, the recent church shooting that happened, the media didn't cover that, or the recent shootings that happened at schools when it was done by transgender people, didn't cover that, right? They're all happy to cover school shootings, but not when it's one of their own. Not interested in covering a church shooting, not interested in talking about Trump or the Ukrainian girl or, you know, Charlie Kirk or any of those things. The disparity in media coverage is much more notable, to my mind, because the media coverage is more of a societal mirror in sort of the disparity, right? I mean, the individual acts, what I'm trying to tell you, or what I'm trying to express, and perhaps inadequately, is the individual acts to some degree can be chalked up to individual acts of evil, because the person who pulls the trigger is responsible. I have no problem with that. And I'm not even saying the media is responsible for the shooting. I'm not even saying that. I'm simply saying that the way they cover those shootings, not how the shootings came to be, but the way they cover those shootings, shows a disparity in the treatment of particular stories. You know, if it's a church shooting, or it's a school shooting done by a transgender person, or if it's the president being assassinated attempt, or if it's the Ukrainian girl, or it's Charlie Kirk, they will cover that one way, which is to say endlessly on nightly media, multiple times a day, forever, for months and months and months, with riots in the streets and everything else. But if it's a certain other kind of thing, nowhere to be found. As has been commented before, including by me, like, where were all the Ukrainian flag people on X? There are so many people with Ukrainian flags in their bio on X. Where were all they? Where were they all when the Ukrainian girl was killed? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. They couldn't even talk about the gun that was used, because, of course, there wasn't a gun that was used. It was a knife. So they couldn't even, like, fall back on gun control. Right? But where were all the Ukrainian flag people? How much coverage did it get in the couple days after on mainstream media? Basically zero. Basically none. They were eventually forced to cover it, although at that point they covered the reaction to it and blamed MAGA for making it a political story rather than talking about the underlying incident. But, you know, and talked about how we're making it political, and Van Jones is over here saying we're making it racial, even as the stabber said, I stabbed that white girl twice, which kind of seems like race might be potentially partially a motive. And even if it wasn't, even if there were zero evidence of racial motive whatsoever, they'd still talk about race. For example, George Floyd. The death of George Floyd was not racial. At no point in the trial, except for the closing instructions by the judge, which are standard, At no point in the death of George Floyd was race ever mentioned. At all. Ever. Except maybe like as a pure identifier. But it was not a fact that was brought into evidence. There was no attempt made whatsoever to prove it was racial, nor was there any particular evidence that it was racial. But that didn't prevent the media from making it racial, right? It didn't prevent them from saying it was racial and indicative of race, even though there was no evidence to support that contention. None was ever offered at trial, and there's none that I'm aware of anyway. Or, the story, how they covered the Daniel Penny incident in New York versus this. Incidentally, by the way, that partly answers the question that the media does seem to be asking, like, why did no one help? Why did no one help the Ukrainian girl? Do you remember Daniel Penny? I do. Yeah, why did no one help? No, maybe they saw the Daniel Penny story and they decided not to get involved. Maybe they learned a lesson. Maybe that was the problem. I'm not saying, but it's like, So to me, the more impactful element of this is the media coverage of it, because it shows a bifurcation of not only our facts, but even our compassion. Because who we choose to have compassion for and who we don't choose to have compassion for. So Charlie Kirk being dead is bad. He was a notable, and speaking about him in the past tense is so fucking weird, I don't even know where to start. He was a notable presence on the right, particularly on college campuses, where he's perhaps done more than any right-wing figure of note in recent history to revitalize conservatism on campus. There are a lot of conservatives who come to speak on campus, to be sure, but he has done more to make that a more lasting effort through his organization, Turning Point USA, which I'm sure will continue without him, but the organization is worse for it. He has done more to make it acceptable to be a conservative or right-wing person on college campuses and to create a base for Republicans and conservatives to operate on college campuses than anyone of recent note. That has been his contribution to everything. His most notable contribution. Yeah, I mean, there are things beyond that, but that's, his legacy, which I guess I can now say the word legacy because he's dead. That's fucked up. So that's his legacy. All right. And so him being dead is bad. The movement will go on. There will be people who will be inspired by him, I'm sure. And perhaps we'll have someone even better than Charlie Kirk to lead Turning Point USA. Who can say what fate will be? So, although the death of Charlie Kirk is certainly notable to him, and of course his family, and at least in the short term, notable to the movement, for me, at this point, sitting here right here today, the more notable thing that I'm worried about is not the death of Charlie Kirk, because, I'm sure there will be another horror that will happen tomorrow or next week that will supplant this horror. Of that, I have very little doubt. So my thought, as I try to think to the long term, as I try to move from the short term to the long term, my thought is about how the disparity in coverage, about how the left chooses to cover stories that fit their narrative and don't cover their narrative, and how the left wing has tried to spin the assassination of Donald Trump. He slipped. He fell down. Donald Trump falls down at rally. All right. How they tried to cover the death of the Ukrainian girl. It's those MAGA people making it political, and how they've already tried to cover this. We've already watched videos in the other stream, which has now been rendered private because, but we already watched them try to blame Charlie Kirk for the inflaming things, and because he kind of had it coming, So all that shit, and Um, so CNN is just like at this point just saying it flat out. Let me see if I can readjust the margins. I am not surprised he died. Well, from what the wound was, I mean. Charlie Kirk killed in shooting. Assassinated, I would say, is more appropriate. Yep. Yep, that's what he looked like about 8 seconds before he got shot, pretty much. Two law enforcement have confirmed, yeah. Two law enforcement officials have confirmed that Kirk has died. Yeah. This appearance at Utah Valley University was supposed to be the first of a 14-city fall American comeback tour. And of course, he leaves behind a wife and 2 young children. So that's exciting and fun. I feel like all I can do at this point is to like understate it with humor. I apologize in advance for saying things like, that's fun, because it's so horrible that like the only thing I can do to preserve what little bit of sanity I have at this point is to critically understate it. Massively. And in a contra way, right? So it's like basically I'm saying literally the opposite of what I think. And it's like the only way for me to maintain my sanity. So I apologize. I also apologize for this smile that I have on my face. You might think that I'm happy. I am decidedly not. I am raging inside on levels that are hard to completely describe right now. I already thought it was apoplectic. I already thought it was apoplectic from the knifing of the Ukrainian girl. And at this point, I've reached apparently new levels of apoplectic, which I didn't even know were possible. And I'm concerned I might actually have a stroke for real at this point because of how pissed I am. And apparently my body has decided to express this level of pissed by me being smiling. It's like that quiet smiling rage you get kind of thing. It's like when you're so pissed, you become calm again. That's basically where I am at this point. So I apologize for the smile on my face. I'm not happy. I'm incredibly mad. But my body has decided to try to do it this way so that I don't, run around like a chicken with my head cut off. So that's the way my body's decided to roll. So we're going to roll with it together in the horror. Fun. GOP senator warns of escalating violence. Yeah, that's... Did I already say this part or not? I'm actually not even sure what I've said at this point. I'm just going to keep saying things, and if I repeat myself, so be it. But at this, I'm not normally the, we are going to a new civil war kind of guy. I'm not normally that guy. Tim Pool has been screaming about the new civil war for what seems like about 5 years at this point. I'm not normally that guy. But between the various things that have happened recently, like the church, Trump, the Ukrainian girl, Charlie Kirk, and other things I'm not even sure I'm remembering right now. But, between these various things, and even more importantly than those things themselves, again, the media, right? Even more important than that, the media and the coverage and the disparity of the coverage, including on social media, I think is I think is the more notable story. That is the premise I'm going with. That is the premise I'm going with for the moment. The attempted assassination of even the President of the United States is not as important as the media coverage of that event. That is the premise I'm going to be going with for the rest of this day. The Charlie Kirk being assassinated is not as important as the media and how they're covering it. Like it's that old thing: if you don't hate the media, or you think you hate the media, you don't hate them enough. That kind of idea. It's like that's how I feel today. It's like I thought I already hated them, and I'm discovering new levels of hate. Like it is truly bottomless. You know, there's always a new level of hate. There is no bottom. It is an empty void. And I've already seen things today in how they've covered it or lack thereof that have already pissed me off. And I know I'm going to be pissed off more in the future. And so, like, yeah. But what was I saying? Oh, yeah. What I was trying to say was I'm not normally the, we're going to Civil War guy, but it feels like we're closer to that today than I've personally felt like up to this point. You know, in so much as there is a breaking point for such things. You know, I feel like at least at the moment, I feel like I've somewhat reached a breaking point. And although I'm not going to do it, I'm not literally going to do it. So you can calm the fuck down. But there's part of me that wants to like strap up and start going into the street and find some red shirts. You know, because it's like, you know, it's not even so much retaliation at this point as it is war. You know, it's like, oh, war's been declared. This isn't even retaliation. This isn't even vengeance anymore. This is like something on a different level. It's like, oh, this is war. So, you know, I'm like, yeah, that's a non-inconsequential feeling going through my mind right now. Did I mention I'm apoplectic? Did I mention that part? Did I mention I'm so angry that I feel like I might literally have a stroke? Apoplectic is not normally literal. It comes from the word stroke. It's not normally literal. But at the moment, feels more literal. So, you know, so I'm not going to do it. Calm the fuck down. This is not a threat. I'm just saying there's part of me that feels that way because between everything plus, you know, the media coverage of it, it feels like, you know, yeah. The only thing that gives me comfort is in the event of an actual civil war. I feel pretty good about our side because our side has all the guns. So that should work out pretty well for us. But, you know, I'd prefer not to if it's all the same. I'd really prefer to live in a country, but it doesn't seem like some people want to live in a country. So that's exciting and horrific. Who's this? Senator Curtis? If we're honest, we're having conversations within family. They're too heated. Yep. We're having conversations among friends that are too heated. And then obviously escalates, it gets broader conversation. You know, not for nothing, but actual wars have started over less. Just saying. Just saying. Actual wars have started over less. Yeah, World War I comes to mind. Yeah, world wars have started over less. Or at least the same amount. Yeah. Archduke Ferdinand for the win by the Black Hand. Yeah. Goddamn Serbians. Anyway, moving on. Trump has spoken with the Utah governor after the shooting. Here, the moment of the shooting. was reported on public safety. That's okay. I got it. There was a pact? Yes, there was a pact. Yeah, because it was the Serbian national group that attacked the emperor's nephew of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. The Serbia and Austria-Hungary went to war, and then because of alliances, everyone else got involved. Yeah, I remember my World War I history. I got it. Yeah. Okay. All good stuff. Hate solves nothing. Well, as Starship Troopers once pointed out, violence. What was the quote from the professor? Or what was the quote from the professor in Starship Troopers? Violence is the only true mechanism of political political power or something like that. So yeah, violence is in fact, violence isn't the answer, and he's all like violence is in fact not only the answer, it's the only answer. Yeah. So sometimes violence. I mean, well, wars solve conflicts. There is that. They can be. It can be. Yeah. I'm going to read a few of her super chats. Rogue Accountant gives $10. Say, God bless Charlie Kirk, God bless his family, and God help this country. It would be nice if we could reconcile. The media is not making it easy. They are not. They're all fake. This is at least what I mean by fake news. Not that their facts are fake, although sometimes, but not really. What makes them fake is the way that they say they care, but they don't. They care about gun violence, except when the gun violence is used in a way they like, or at least a way that they don't object to. See, for example, the school shooting by the transgender person. See, for example, this. See, for example, the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Yeah, they care about Ukraine, except when they don't. See, for example, the Ukrainian girl. Yeah. They care about mass shootings, except when they don't. See, for example, the church shooting. And so forth and so on. Right? So everything they say is fake because they don't really care. They only care when it serves their message. And when it doesn't serve their message, they're nowhere to be found, like right now. You tell me how many people on the left are really like, treating this the same way they would if it were someone on their side of the aisle, or, in a comparable fact pattern on the other way around, right? They're not really genuine. They don't really care except when it feeds their narrative. So anyways, Caddy Corner for $20 said facts. Moonchild Pink, how you doing? Became an uncivilian. DL said for $4.99, thank you, Kirk. It's Kurt, but you're welcome. Salt A for $4.99 said, none of those on the bus helped Ukrainian girl for 2 minutes. Yeah, but exactly. But then again, like C, for example, Daniel Penny. Maybe they learned the lesson not to help. Maybe they learned that was a bad thing to do. Maybe they learned from the Daniel Penny experience. Anyways, yet Charlie Kirk was checked on instantly. Well, not for nothing, but Charlie Kirk is surrounded by paid security. So he was checked on instantly because some of those people are employed by him. So there's that. So the situation isn't comparable. But thank you. Paul Clank for $1.99 said, we love you, Kurt. Thanks for your words. You're welcome. Dark Logic for $10 said, remember Charlie Kirk's entire career was focused around winning debate in proper democratic fashion, and they still shot him. From Carl Benjamin. Yep, that about covers it. $10 from Virginia Little. We feel the same way we do. We're sick of this crap. God bless Charlie. He scared them. How many college kids listen to him? Lots. He made an impact, and of course now he's a martyr, which probably will help with his message for the foreseeable future. So there's that. Gen X Lawyer, how you doing? For $19.99 said, mainstream media polarizes this country with screwed reporting. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to say, I think, poorly, or one of the points I've been trying to say, poorly. that the media, especially mainstream media, is not even that they contribute to the polarization. It's like more banal than that, but it's like the banality of evil, right? They don't even know they're doing it. It would be nice. It would be nice to some degree if they were villains twirling their mustaches. But what's probably more true and probably even scarier is that they're not. Right? The comforting version is that the mainstream media are villains twirling their mustaches. The non-comforting version is they're so steeped and baked into their own viewpoint and ideology, they don't even know they're doing it. It wouldn't even occur to them. That's probably more true. That's even horrible, right? They're not even aware that they're doing it. If they were aware of they're doing it, they'd be aware of their own hypocrisy. They don't know. And even what's pointed out to them, they still don't know because they lack the underlying empathy to process it. So it's just random information that has no impact. That's super great. Yeah, it's all great. Yeah, apparently no information on the shooter as of yet. I mean, one would presume there is, surveillance footage. It's a college campus. I'm sure there's footage of him entering or exiting a building somewhere. I'm sure they'll figure it out. But yeah. All that good stuff. I'm pissed. I'm just very pissed. Can Trump declare flags at half-mast? I honest to God don't know how that works in the flag code. I mean, it's automatic for certain events. But I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is yes. So you can at least do it with the military, one would presume. But yeah. His wife and kids were there? Oh, that's great. His wife and kids were there? Oh, that's nice. Oh, they got to watch their husband and father literally die in front of their eyes. Excellent. That's great news. Trump wore the flags at half-mast? Cool. Respect. He wore the flags at half-mast? Fair. Fine. Yeah, I'm not sure on the finer provisions of the flag code, but noted. Why do we fly flags at half-mast? Well, we fly flags at half-mast when we're mourning. It's normal. Do you not know that? It's a normal thing that we do in the country when we're in mourning. We do it automatically for the death of certain people by law. And then it can be done like other times. Also, incidentally, I believe the flag is flown at half-mast on September 11th anyway. I think. I'd have to double check, but I think the flag is flown at half-mast on September 11th anyway. So you got that going for you for tomorrow. There's a video of the shooter's arrest? No, I don't think so. There was an older guy who was arrested at one point, but he wasn't the shooter. So if you're thinking about the older guy who looks like he's 60s, like 70s, yeah, he wasn't the shooter. Not sure who he was, but he wasn't the shooter. So, yeah. Half staff for land and half mast for flags or ships. Noted. Thanks. I didn't know there was a difference, but thanks for bringing it to my attention. Yeah. So yeah, so we already had the flag at half-staff tomorrow anyway. If you have to ask why the flag's at half-staff tomorrow, I'm going to punch you in the face. Never forget, baby. There's a video of someone in black on a rooftop. Ooh. Let's see if we can find that. That'd be interesting. Let's see if we can find any further information on what's going on here. Yeah. Why is the flag at half-staff? I don't know. Read a book.
This was going to happen when Ben Shapiro came to visit and Steven Crowder got threatened, seriously threatened by Antifa, and there was an entire plan to execute him. And I'm going to say it now with what just happened with Charlie Kirk up in Logan. It is nonstop here. The violence against Republicans and conservatives is an ongoing threat here in the state of Utah. And
in Utah? Utah's the most Republican state in the country. Although it's a weird form of Republican, but never mind.
It doesn't matter how many times we tell the FBI, how many times we tell local law enforcement, nobody seems to care. Hopefully this is a big wake-up call for our state where we start to realize that there are actual threats against conservatives and Republicans in the state. Please keep Charlie Kirk in your prayers. I know that I am. I will be back from maternity leave next Monday. I can't wait to see you guys then. I said that.
Looking good, Danny. You're black pilled to the core. Feel that. Wyoming is more Republican. Is it? All right. So this is apparently okay.
So
this is apparently the shooter on top of a building. Could be.
Somebody on the roof right there? Just saying. He just ran from over. Where's my finger? Well, from over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just saying. Just getting right up.
Yep. God damn it.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, His grace uncrowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
I'm pretty pissed. Nate the lawyer says it's a political assassination. Damn straight.
In America.
I'll show you a little bit of the aftermath. So this is just after Charlie Kirk was shot. Show you a little bit of the crowd. I think we're going to find the guy. I'm reasonably confident they'll find the guy. I mean, it's a college campus. I assume there's surveillance footage like everywhere, you know, because it's a college campus. So I'm going to go on the operating assumption that there's plenty of surveillance footage and they will find him. I'm fairly confident. So yeah, I am. I'm not worried about it. Holy shit, dude. Man, I just saw that close up again of him getting shot. I do not recommend, unless you're into some hardcore shit, I do not recommend looking for the close up shots of him getting shot. Unless you're into some hardcore shit, I do not recommend it. Yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, this is a pretty good summary of what he was trying to do.
I go around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreement.
It was not center mass. It was not center mass. It was in the neck, about here, ish. I don't know if that's what the shooter was trying to do. Seems like a bad idea to not aim for center mass. Maybe he just missed, but if he did, well, you know, he still hit something pretty vital. So probably wasn't shooting for the neck. That seems unlikely, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Fuck.
Agreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
I've never seen someone do this.
Well, it's a growing trend because people like me are facing violence, assault. The left.
The left.
Yes, the campus Antifa. I've been stormed out of restaurants. I've been assaulted publicly, multiple death threats.
Okay, so what's your goal in all this?
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity.
Yeah, that civil war thing is feeling a little bit more real today than it was yesterday. I'm not going to lie. That civil war feeling is feeling a little bit real. The White House put out a statement. The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of youth in America State better than Charlie. On the right, I would tend to agree. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he's no longer with us. Milana and I, my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and their family. This sucks balls. He has 2 young kids, and they're now without a father, and his wife is without a husband. Fuck me. Let's watch the left celebrate and gloat over it, so we can all get nicely pissed.
There are a lot of people that are like, no matter what side of politics you're on, you should never celebrate something bad happening to someone. I, on the other hand, do cheer when bad things happen to bad people.
Charlie Kirk just got shot.
Well, breaking fucking news, folks. Seems somebody just took a shot at one of the Fanta-Fastest favorite 5-mile-wide mouthpieces, Charles Chucklefuck Kirk.
I feel like we just found a couple volunteers for the wall. Who am I going to war with? These people. That's a good start. Associated Press. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk has died after being shot in an event. Sources on the ground. Yep, Alex Jones. Let's see what Alex Jones had to say about it. He was killed by a high-power rifle to the neck. Yeah, I mean, it looked... Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. I've got some really bad news for people. I just got a call 5 minutes ago from a very trusted source who's never been wrong, connected to three-letter agencies, who's very close to people that were on the ground there when Charlie Kirk was shot in Utah today. And he died a long time ago. So he's dead. And I got a call saying, where are you getting your info? He might be alive. And I said, I'm getting off the news. They said, no, he's dead. That's directly from people on the ground. I'll leave it at that. Very close to Charlie. So they killed him. The left killed him. And I get the family and others are probably thinking of what they're going to say or what they're going to do, but you see that footage. They say clearly from the report, the rifle and all the rest of it, high-powered rifle. They said because the reason his chest lifts up is just the effect that the bullet and high speed creates by hitting him in the neck. And Charlie's dead. But if the left thinks this is going to intimidate us to shut up, they got nothing coming. Charlie was out there at the campuses getting millions of young people to vote for Trump. And the left cannot allow this. And John Podesta's plan was, if Trump got reelected, to launch a civil war. So it's live now. Everybody should really be watching now. They're going to try to kill Trump again. Just God bless you all and God bless Charlie Kirk. He died like a Viking king, sword in his hand, the info war. Now, I pray my source is wrong, but this source...
You know, the phrase InfoWar has never been more literal than it was today, man. I think Alex Jones was onto something, naming it InfoWar. Yeah.
Has been the source of so much, but it's always been accurate. He said 100%, talk to people directly there, directly involved. I'm going to try to get him to come on the air. I'm here getting my dad out of the hospital after he had his heart surgery stuff. That went well, so I'm dealing with that right now. But I'm going to go back to the office here in about an hour. But I'm going to see if I can get this source on air. He's been in, let's just say, a lot of three-letter agencies. And it's confirmed. Charlie Kirk's dead, folks. Sorry to report that to you. God bless you. Pray for him. Pray for his family.
Yep. Everyone trying to grieve this one step at a time.
Condition of a really, really awful guy. And
All right, let's hear more from this asshole.
breaking news, Charlie Kirk was in the neck. As of right now, I think his condition is unknown. And there are a lot of people that are like, no matter what side of politics you're on, you should never celebrate something bad happening to someone. I, on the other hand, do cheer when bad things happen to bad people.
I'll cheer when something bad happens to this woman. I use the word woman very advisedly.
So on behalf of everybody else, I got this shit. I don't know if he's gonna make a recovery or not. I don't know what his condition is. It just happened as I'm filming this. I saw the video of it happening. I do not feel bad for him in the slightest, and I'm very, very much wondering what MAGA is going to react with. I wonder how.
Does anyone have an M4 I can borrow? Asking for a friend.
They're going to make this about how black people shouldn't be allowed guns, or trans people. They're probably going to blame a trans black person. I don't fuck. But we can all celebrate because something really awful happened to a really, really awful guy. And again, if you're one of those dipshit people that are like, no matter what happens, you should never wish death on some. I'm going to cheer and dance and sing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I'll be pretty happy if, something happens to that person. That's a whole pile of stupid. Shit, dude. As of 32 minutes ago, the suspect is still at large. FBI, of course, is on the scene, as one would expect. Apparently, the man that was arrested, that older man, claimed credit for shooting Charlie Kirk, but he wasn't the shooter. So, okay. Here's a picture of the crowd running away from the event. Nate the lawyer's live. I don't want to talk for a while, so I'm going to snipe. I'm going to snipe Nate the lawyer for a second. I need a break, so I'm going to snipe. I'm going to snipe Nate. Charlie Kirk has 100,000 people watching him. Nice.
Stuff I thought was on point. Just look at everybody, just like you guys with me, right? Not everything I say you agree with, but a large chunk of it you do. And that's kind of how I kind of felt with Charlie Kirk. Now, just so we're all on the same page, because I know some of you, for those of you who have not heard, Charlie Kirk was murdered today. And I'll pull up a quick CH. I can't even spell. And it's wild because like all the people in this space, myself and all the other kind of political commenters, I think this has shown them something that's pretty insane, and I think it showed them that that I think we've gotten to a point where even if you say stuff to people that they don't like, it's now time to do physical violence. Because Charlie Kirk, his whole brand was, I'm going to go into the lion's den. I'm going to tell him what I believe. And I'm going to say, prove me wrong. That's the whole, there's nothing new about what he was doing, right? That's exactly what he was doing. I'm going into the hostile territory and I'm going to say, prove me wrong. That was Charlie Kirk, I think he's saying Kirk. That was the whole brand. That was it. It wasn't violence. It was literally just talking and trying to convince people to say, this is what I believe. Show me where I'm wrong. And for that, he was murdered. Literally exercising free speech. That's the reason. Agree with them or not. That's the reason why he was murdered. He was murdered because people didn't like what he was saying. And I never thought when someone says misgendering me is violence. There are people out there who believe that. There are sick people out there who believe that. I was just recently on a show with some of the transgender advocates, and they were talking crazy nonsense stuff. But I sat and I listened. I was trying to explain my position. And eventually, you know, you guys know how it is. If you don't believe every single thing they say, that women or men or women, if you don't believe all that, you're a bigot and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I'm not a bigot. I just don't think men who are, you know, biological men should be compete with biological women, because that's wrong. But that made me a transphobe, and I'm hated now. So it's like any disagreement is like, now is it a death sentence? Why is it? We can't just say what we want. If you don't like it, don't listen. You don't got to listen to Charlie Kirk. But the fact that people did, I'm sorry. I know I'm usually more polished than this. I know you guys are used to me just quick with it, Ryan. Just hear the facts. Here's everything. But again, I'm somebody in this space. And listen, people, you know, I can't show the whole thing, but I stay strapped all the time, everywhere, because you just don't know. I stay strapped. If you come here, you know, it's going to be a fight. My kids know how to handle gun. My wife know how to handle gun. We are Texans for sure. We stay strapped. But it's funny because we didn't stay strapped because of any type of threats. We just stay strapped because we were like, yo, just in case, blah, blah, blah. But now we know, if you're in this space, think about this, people. You know how many times I've been asked to do these type of events? Like, you guys don't know. I'm asked, I have millions, and I mean millions of views every month. I have more long form video views than legal. I have more long form video views. I beat some ups, and some months I'm the top lawyer on YouTube in terms of views.
You sure are,
It's crazy. Sometimes I beat TYT and all those other big channels in views, myself alone, me and my little operation. And sometimes they've asked me, hey, Nate, come do this talk, tell people do this, do this, do this. That could have been me. That could have been me, right? Because I'm asked to go do these things. And I don't do them because I'm like, yeah, I'm too busy, this. But now I go do one of these things and I can be killed. Just because they don't agree with what I'm gonna say. That's you know, a lot of times I sit here and I try to give both sides fair.
Steve Scalise, yeah, that was a while ago, but fair play.
No, it's not this bad. No, it's this. No, it's that. Right? You guys know me. You guys know what I do, right? I try to give you the facts and kind of let you come to your own conclusions. That's why most people like my stuff, right? I hear the facts and you come to your own conclusions, right? But I'm just going to start calling out the bullshit. I am going to start calling out the bullshit. Like one of the bullshit I'm going to start calling out, and people are going to be offended. This bullshit that we're supposed to pretend that Black communities are safe and everybody's all happy and good in Black communities. And even though half the murders that happen are from Black people killing Black people, we're supposed to pretend that there is no issue here. And if you say something like that, you're a racist. And if you say that's nonsense, right? And for everybody in the chat, stop typing. I want to ask you a question. If you work in any service industry,
this wasn't done by an alphabet agency. An alphabet agency wouldn't do things this publicly. They're not that sloppy. Yeah. Let's see what Tim Pool's saying about this thing. Charlie survive? No, not so much. We'll listen to Crime Talk for a little while too.
Try to convince me that I'm wrong. And
all right, Scott, how you doing, Scott?
Where things where we learned about Charlie Kirk. Assassinated. It was an assassination, cold-blooded killing. He's 31 years old. He has a wife, Erica, and a son that's 3 and a daughter that's 16 months old. 16 months old.
They won't even
And
remember
the
their
couple
father.
just celebrated their 4th wedding anniversary
That's
in May.
That's fucked up.
This guy had millions of social media followers. He co-founded the nonprofit Turning Point in 2012 as a teenager, which was dubbed as a national student movement. His mission was to identify, educate, train, and organize students to promote the principles of fiscal responsibility. That's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Free markets, definitely a good thing, and limited government, according to his website. Oh my God, what radical ideas are those? Oh my God. Free market, capitalism, limited government, everything.
He lost 4 pints of blood in 10 seconds. I think it was faster than that. Yeah, by my count, he lost 4 pints of blood in about 4 seconds. Yeah. It was a lot of blood. Yeah. And 2 pints is a quart, so you're saying a half gallon? Yeah. Maybe. That was a lot of blood. Yeah. That was a lot.
The founding of this nation was based upon, right?
Again, don't particularly recommend going and looking for it unless you're really into the hardcore shit. It's pretty graphic. Don't recommend. Having seen recently the original videos of the Ukrainian woman being stabbed, and now Charlie Kirk being shot, I've seen more blood. I've seen more snuff films in the last 2 days than is really healthy, probably for a person to watch. Yeah, that's probably not ideal.
And so, obviously he's been involved in politics. People don't like him. And like I said, there is a video going out there, but we are not going to show it. But as soon as I saw it, I didn't think that was going to be a good ending. I think everybody was was hoping and obviously praying for a recovery. Apparently medical personnel did everything that they could to save him, but it was just, it was a pretty obvious shot. The amount of blood that was coming out was absolutely, it didn't look good. Like I said, I'm no doctor, but it did not look good. And given the location of it, we just saw this in the Charlotte stabbing, a couple of little knife blades, you hit the artery and you're going to bleed out in a matter of seconds. And unfortunately,
that all that red stuff was supposed to be on the inside. When it comes on the outside, that's a problem. Okay. Isn't Tim Pool live? I thought he was, but I can't find his live stream right now for some reason. What am I doing wrong? Filter live. Oh, there he is.
The shot appears to come from a slightly elevated position, coming from his right side.
Yeah, he had security detail. He had security detail on the ground.
What is this? Alarinel says, ramp up your protection, Tim, and also encourage people who think they don't need it, like Asmongold. They don't understand how important their message is or how evil these people are.
No, Charlie Kirk probably didn't suffer at all. Yeah, he probably didn't suffer at all. I mean, I'm not a professional, but yeah, he was gone. Yeah, he was gone instantly from his, he probably didn't suffer. Yeah. Yeah, he had his own private security that surrounds him, but I don't know what degree, if any, they had tried to prepare for a long-range assassination attempt. I don't know if they tried to prepare for that threat or not. I don't know. I'm pissed. I'm really, really fucking pissed. I'm incredibly pissed. Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, like as a lawyer, you want to operate inside the legal system, obviously. But right about now, I'm like, you know what would be great? How about not the legal system? You know? How about extra legal? Yeah.
Take care of yourself. Everybody in the space. Body armor. Proper weapons training. First aid training. Get it done. Bug out bag. Get it done. And not because we think war has erupted.
War's a little bit
Sometimes
erupted.
criminals have guns. Sometimes bad storms hit and you need food. Me, I'm decked out. Largely because I'm just a nut. You know what I mean? The gag is I pulled a war machine from Iron Man. I went to the local gun store. This is actually a true story. And I walked in. It wasn't that big of a gun store. It's maybe only like 100 square. It's pretty small.
Extra legal sounds like what a shooter was hoping for, but like what I'm trying to tell you, or at least what I'm trying to express, is there is a breaking point. There is a breaking point, and where that point exactly is, I don't know, and neither does anyone else. But there is a point when you move from rule of law to without rule of law, in which point you are talking about, you know, yeah, you're talking about something else. And between all the incidents that have happened recently, and between the media and how they've covered these incidents, and between the, you know, Ukrainian flag people and their kin, and so forth and so on, my desire to play within the lines is not particularly intact today. You know? Yeah.
150 square feet in the room. And I looked around and I went, I'll take it. And they were like, which one? I was like, all of it. And they laughed. And they were like, okay. I'm like, no, I'm kidding. Like, let's go. I think I bought like 50 guns. Bro, I'm in West Virginia. I get death threats all the time. We had the bomb squad come out to our studio several times. We've had crazy people show up saying they were sent by God. And I'm like, each different gun for a different circumstance. Because I can. Nobody should come here. Do not come here. People don't get the message. Especially now. Do not come here. All right, let's see what we have here. There's a news update. Let's see. Looked like there was an update, but YouTube just jumped on me. This is what it does. An update from Fox News.
It does it to me too, Tim. It's nice to know it doesn't only happen
I just
to
saw
me.
a headline in Fox saying the shooter has not been put in custody. Yeah. Let me check my messages because I've not been looking at this, but
the shooter's not going to get very far.
Got a bunch of messages. Maybe we have some private updates. I can just say this. You know, we do a lot of work with a bunch of different companies as well as people in politics, Congress, the executive branch. So we're in communication with a lot of people. And I'll just check my messages and maybe there's something I can report. I don't know. My messages are blowing up. Yeah. Charlie. Man. These posts are just absolutely disgusting. Holly Movie Star says, Tim, casino auditoriums. You're right, but they're very expensive. Casinos have intense security, depending on which casino you go to.
The left has never been forced to give up on the righteous raid ethos of the 60s. It's an interesting way of putting it. I don't know how we get there. Well, one way we get there is by a significant overcorrection. One way we get there is they push too hard, and the right equalizes the equation dramatically. I want to go riot or something right now. That's what I want to do. I want to go do a little light rioting. I'm sure there's a riot happening somewhere in Houston I can join. It's a big city. I just need to go figure out where the riot is so I can go join that and do a little pillaging or something. That'll make me feel better.
They have these scanning machines that when you walk in, like MGM and Maryland Live is a good example. When you walk in, they have these machines you walk through, and then a computer, AI, will say if you're strapped or not. And they got cameras everywhere. They're not so much worried about you getting shot, although they don't want you to get shot. They're concerned about you cheating or someone cheating with you. Casinos are a possibility, but they're very, very, very expensive. I think we looked at one, I think Maryland Live maybe was like between 20 and 50 grand. We can't afford that.
Hey, Travis, do you still here? You know where I could go find a little light rioting? Can your law enforcement buddies direct me to a little light rioting, or something? Or do you need some? Do your law enforcement buddies need some hippies being up or something? I'm available. I'm just saying, I'm available for some side piece work. If I can help, let me know. I'm available for daily conscriptions. We can talk about my rates. Nice.
I mean, if we have to sell tickets at $150 plus get sponsors to make that happen. I'm going to wrap this up. I just want to say a few things. Charlie, you will be missed more than I think most people realize. My thoughts and prayers to Charlie's family, his friends, and those around him. I'm nowhere near the top of the list of people who have a right to be, personally outraged or anything like that. I didn't hang out.
Just get me a letter of marque. Yeah. Give me a letter of marque. If you love to sail the sea, you are a privateer.
Out the guy, we didn't play golf together or anything, but he was my friend. And he took care of me and my crew, and he was nice to us. And he treated us like we were worthy. He treated us like, when we go to his events, it was like we were the stars of the show. I know we're not. Tucker Carlson speaking. Come on. We got to have Charlie Kirk and Tucker Carlson on Timcast IRL on the stage at TPUSA, and he made you feel like you were special. We were here for you, but we were all there for him. And it means so much to me. And it meant so much to me the whole time that I was always just had this feeling like I am so grateful.
There's a press conference. I'm definitely in for that. Who's covering the press conference? Yeah, I'm definitely in for a press conference. Where's that happening? Is that White House? Eaton. KSI. Okay. KSL. All right. Let's see what we got.
Area and ramped up his political involvement during the Tea Party movement. Now, more recently, he hosted his own radio show and podcast, and some of his TikTok videos have gotten up to
KSL
50 million views.
News Radio.
He also has been a well-known supporter and friend.
Let's see what else we got. I'm looking. Oh, live. Let's see if this is what I want. Okay. Nope, that didn't do it. There we go.
Actually saw the gunman, and so there's a lot of questions there as to where he or she may have been when those shots were fired. But everybody telling me they heard one shot, and then that's when Charlie went down. And so again, still trying to find out a lot of questions here that we're still trying to get to the bottom of, but we'll keep you posted as soon as we know any more, and as soon as the governor walks in and we're getting closer to starting this press conference. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, we appreciate that update, Dan.
Yeah, Dan, we're seeing some of the same things. You're getting a lot of information now that's hard to confirm, things people have seen, people making speculations, and so it's hard to sort out that information, and hopefully momentarily we will see that. I know our reporters on the scene have seen Governor Cox on campus, so hopefully that will happen soon. Let's check in with now Jody Reynosa, who is outside campus. Jody, what are you seeing on your end?
So I'm in front of the Fulton building. I'm going to have Greg pan around. We see a team of law enforcement here. They definitely have weapons on. They are ready to go. It's been all hands on deck.
Wow, law enforcement has weapons on. That's genius. Great. Good observation. Fantastic.
Here today. Now, we've heard from dozens of people today, primarily students, as you know, and the feelings have been shock, appalled, angry, sad, worried, scared. Things that people just should not have to hear about. One of the things that I discovered today was a gentleman who, he did something very honorable. He's a professor here at UVU, but he also used to be in law enforcement. He was at the time in a building far away from the venue and the scene where Charlie Kirk got shot. And he came running, he said, toward the scene because he said, I wanted to help students. I wanted to make sure that they were safe. So his law enforcement instincts kicked in. Now, I wasn't able to talk to him on camera. He said, I need to figure out UVU's protocol with the media first, so give me a call tomorrow. So hopefully we'll have him. And just kind of what was going through his mind at the time. The fact that somebody is running into danger, that's heroic to me. It sounds like press conference might be starting. We're going to pan over to the SWAT team right here, and I'm going to take it back to you in the studio.
Thank you for that update. Yes, we are standing by to get answers to the outstanding questions. Number one being, what's the status of the suspect? We've heard people reporting or a group of law enforcement in an Orem neighborhood. We've heard a lot of different things, and so hopefully they will let us know if they know who the suspect is, and right now they're not confirming that there's anyone in custody.
All right, we want to check back in with KSL's Sarah Martin. She has been at the Timpanogos Regional Hospital, where you are telling us that they have since canceled all appointments moving forward this afternoon.
That's right. Timpanogos Regional Hospital is on lockdown. All of the parking lots surrounding the hospital are closed at this time. Security guards and law enforcement personnel are telling people to go home. Their appointments are canceled and to reschedule those appointments at a later date. UVU is just about 2 miles away from this hospital campus.
Why?
At about 12:30 in the afternoon, that might have been a 5 to 8 minute drive here to this level 3 trauma center. We believe that Charlie Kirk was taken here just after that shooting at UVU, though that hasn't been completely confirmed.
Okay, those officers also seem to have weapons. I didn't know if you knew that because they hadn't commented about that recently, but they also seem to have weapons of some kind. So I thought I'd point that out.
To us, there is a large police presence here. All of the doors are barricaded.
There's a large police presence at the hospital. Yeah, it's great. Thanks. Good. Yep. Excellent.
Police, and those sirens are flashing. Those lights are flashing. Behind me here, we do have a small group of people who are here to show support for Charlie Kirk, who have shown up to show their love and support. They're here because they're so worried about this situation. They've told me that they have been longtime supporters of Charlie's, that they've looked to him, that he's brought them hope in the past. And so to come here, to stand here in the hot sun for a few hours even, some of them have been here for more than an hour, feels like nothing. You know, it feels like a tribute that is necessary and a tribute that has brought a little bit of hope to this dark, dark day. Very sad about the news to hear confirmed by President Trump that Charlie Kirk did die. We believe he passed here at Timpanogos Regional Hospital. Again, all appointments are closed. It's not clear yet why he was brought to this hospital. We know there are a few hospitals within about a 5-minute range of UVU, but we believe he was brought here based on the number of police and the law enforcement personnel that are here on site at Timpanogos Regional Hospital. If you have any appointments here today, possibly even tomorrow, definitely cancel those today, but check in before you come here tomorrow morning as well. Reporting live here in Orem, I'm Sarah Martin, KSL 5 News.
All right, thank you. Thanks for that update and for the information for everybody else at that hospital. We've heard at least from one University of Utah, still open, but they will have an increased police presence for all of the classes and events that are still scheduled for the remaining of the week. As we stand by for a news update that should start any minute, I wanted to read a statement from Congressman Blake Moore, Utah Congressman. He says, Charlie's passing is devastating. Above all, he was a father and a husband. My heart goes out to Erica, his children, and his whole family.
Yeah, the sentiments continue to pour in. Let's check back in with Andrew Adams, also there on the UVU campus. Andrew, what have you been, from your vantage point, what have you been seeing and experiencing?
Well, I've also
right
been
now?
seeing some officers with weapons.
Well, some interesting things, and albeit it's really like the guys in Army fatigues, basically SWAT gear, that are garnering all the attention. But low-key interesting is what we've been watching going on in this parking lot.
Really?
Which some officers, I believe, got into that pickup truck over there, and you see it driving that way. But basically, they're going like car to car. So, Stuart, if you can like point on me, but basically, some with their cell phones kind of going around the cars remaining in the parking lot. And then I don't know if they're recording video, I don't know if they're taking pictures, but maybe presumably they're thinking if there's not a shooter in custody, maybe one of these cars might have a connection. I don't know, but it makes you wonder what they were doing out in the parking lot with their phones, seeming to document the remaining cars here, is what it looked like just from a lay perspective standing here. So obviously we've seen a lot of movement still. It's, I would say, very much an evolving situation. Last time you came to me, SWAT was basically rushing to somewhere. We tried to figure out where that was. We weren't able to figure out exactly where they went. But there was definitely some urgency in where they were going, and that was a little while ago. But still, even around on campus, where we're seeing sweeps, as I can point you over here, we see some more officers making their way out this way. So still, I would presume an active sweeping operation going on here, and certainly was of interest what we were watching going on here in the parking lot with those cars, as it seemed that police were documenting the cars remaining here in the parking lot. Would they have a connection? Hard to say, but you know, if this goes long down the road of an investigation, something like that, even a small thing, we talk about this with even up to cold cases, sometimes the smallest.
This conversation is just way too stupid. This conversation is just too stupid. When you have nothing at all to say, I guess. The level, yeah. When you have absolutely, okay, great. Anyway.
She she is heartsick and devastated, shocked by the murder of Charlie Kirk. He dedicated his life to engaging young people in political discourse. Same reaction that we're hearing from so many, whether in public life or just private students who were there and described what they had to witness today. Let's go now to Jody Reynosa,
who has been speaking with some of those young students there on campus. Jody?
Yes, students are still milling around. They're still trying to grapple with what's happened today. I don't have somebody with me, but I did just talk to police, and they did confirm that Governor Cox is here on campus. And so it's just a matter of, within minutes, even less than that the press conference is going to start. But, to go along with what Andrew Adams was saying, we're seeing the exact same thing here in this part of the parking lot. Law enforcement going around taking pictures of license plates, trying to find clues, trying to connect the dots with, who the shooter could be. And the fact that he's still at large, I think it's very unsettling for them as well. So I'll let it go back.
You think that the shooter being at large could be a bit unsettling? Is that your thesis? The shooter's still at large and some people are unsettled by it? Wow. Awesome. Great report.
Of course, we know Charlie Kirk traveling on campuses all throughout the state where political discourse, back and forth debate, it is part of what he does.
Yes, Diane, I'm in the Beehive State today. Utah's known for its bees and honey, and I'm here at campus of Utah, and there's a lot of breed. It was overseer. We see a ground crew working right now with a lawnmower and hedge clippers. Now, it's not clear exactly what they're doing there with the hedge clippers, but it appears that they're going around the edge of the lawn near the sidewalk, but we're going to try to figure out exactly why. Back to you, Diane.
We've been reporting for a couple of hours and have heard a lot of eyewitnesses statements that have been heartfelt, that have been shocked, and we want to play those. I think we have some of those for you to hear.
All right, we'll give Fox 13 a shot because I cannot be bothered with whatever stupid this is. We'll give Fox 13 a shot. Yes, Diane, I'm here at Utah. State's known for its high Mormon population. Unclear if that's related to the shooting anyway, but police suspect it could be a Mormon because the Mormon population is so high that just by sheer numbers it could be Mormon. So they're definitely looking at the Mormon angle. Back to you, Diane. What does Ben Shapiro saying about this thing? Yes, Diane, I'm here at a university campus. First university was created in Paris in the 1200s, I think, if memory serves correctly, and they've been doing universities ever since. This one wasn't founded in the 1200s because, no one knew America existed yet, but, it's also a long-standing institution that's been here primarily for reading and learning. Now, of course, universities were originally founded principally for the purposes of learning about religion. After all, Harvard University was originally a college for the purpose of learning about religion and divinity and God. But, now colleges teaches a lot more subjects. Back to you, Diane.
Apparently, Charlie was rushed to the hospital by security. We know that he was still barely alive, apparently.
AP is live? All right, we'll give AP a shot. Well, Diane, you see, AP stands for Associated Press. Now, it's an association of press. That's how it got its name. It's a conglomerate of news outlets that come together for the purposes of reporting so that they can share a common reporting source to save on costs. Thanks, Diane.
Reaction to the assassination of Charlie Kirk?
Well, the killing of Charlie Kirk. I mean, it was obviously shocking. The way that happened, as I said earlier.
Are we outside the halls of Congress? Is this AOC? Did someone ask AOC for an opinion?
It doesn't matter. It has to stop.
This afternoon. I mean, I think what has just transpired is tremendously disturbing. It is the latest evolution and instance of political violence in the United States, and it must end.
Congresswoman, what message do you have to your fellow lawmakers regarding the political environment? What message do you have to your fellow lawmakers regarding the political environment and the rhetoric that has been put out in the media?
You know, beyond rhetoric, we need to talk about action, and we need to talk about, yes, there are words, but most importantly, we are in a job of leadership. We are in a job of action. We are in a role and a position where the American people are looking to us to do something about this. And every single day, people are dying due to gun violence in America, and every single day there are people in this building that continue to vote against doing anything. They vote against universal background checks. They continue to support legislation and also remove any way to block the mentally ill, to block extremists, to block people with histories and records of domestic violence from getting guns in their hands. So are we going to do something about this or not? We have a political assassination that happened at the same time as a school shooting where children are dying on the same day, a week after a shooting at a Catholic school where children were gunned down while praying. Are we going to do something, or are we going to argue over rhetoric? That is my question about this. We have to pass gun safety legislation and stop this.
What one congresswoman was saying that was yelling at Republicans is you are Democrats.
I mean, people can finger point all they want. Look at the record. Look at the actions of what we are doing. I don't think a single person who has dedicated their entire career to preventing gun safety legislation from getting passed in this House has any right to blame anybody else but themselves for what is happening. We have to stop this. We can stop this. And why don't we start by acknowledging that basic common sense gun safety legislation is not taking away a gun, is not attacking the Second Amendment, but it is about ensuring the safety of our children, of women, of people across this country, to ensure that guns and firearms do not get in the hands of people who are going to use them against human beings, period. Domestic violence is one of the highest indicators of whether a person is going to kill someone else with a gun or not. There are so many other indicators, and I think it is so deeply important that when a politician tries to blame words for inaction, they need to look at their action and their record. Enough of this. This is horrific. This is awful. And the assassination of Charlie Kirk risks an uncorked.
I will give her points for calling it an assassination, because that's what it is. I mean, respect for calling it an assassination. So I'll give her a point. She deserves it.
Of political chaos and violence that we cannot risk in America. We cannot risk. Congressman, thank you.
Well, that was exciting and fun. I don't think we need to hear any more from her. That was great. Thanks AOC for those lovely thoughts. Back to Ben Shapiro for a while.
Died at the actual hospital. There was some news that had broken that he was in critical condition.
The opposite of murder is not joining hands and singing Kumbaya. It's discussing things with people that you deeply, deeply disagree.
I'm going to go back to the start of this from Ben Shapiro. Okay.
Caught in a horrible irony at an event where he was willing to hear out everyone's point of view and take questions and debate topics in a civil and political way, as he demonstrated better than anybody for years at this point. The president has confirmed Charlie's death. He tweeted out, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States."
The no info press conference is starting. That's exciting. I'm sure it will be nothing.
The police department and the university police department, all of which have been.
Holy shit! Is this filmed with a potato too? Is there a non-potato? That is top quality potato. Shit, man. Can we do better, EP? Holy shit. Who's got this that doesn't have a potato?
The instant.
Okay, this is non-potato. Jesus Christ. I don't know what was wrong with AP, but they decided to film with a potato today for some reason. All right, we'll go Fox 13.
I dropped down with everyone else. I actually have grass stains on my knees. People were running, stepping on each other. I was stepped on. There was a mother behind me who yelled out, "Where's my son?" Yeah, a lot going on.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
The conference is beginning, and we'll go to it.
Thank you for being here. At this press conference, we will first hear from Utah Department of Public Safety Commissioner Bo Mason. Then we'll hear from the FBI Special Agent in Charge, Robert Bowles. We'll then hear from Utah Valley University Vice President Val Peterson, who's been in touch with President Jimenez. And then we'll hear from Governor Cox. I'll turn the time over to Commissioner Mason.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bo Mason, Commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety. Today at approximately 12:20 Mountain Standard Time, political influencer Charlie Kirk was shot in an event at the Utah Valley University. He was taken by private vehicle to Timpanogos Hospital, where he later passed. The Utah Department of Public Safety will be co-leading this criminal investigation to find this killer, along with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We are working in unison with the County Sheriff's Office, the local police department, and the University Police Department, all of which have been very cooperative and fully engaged in this process. Shortly after the shooting, we did have a suspect in custody, George Zinn, but he was released from custody after we identified that he did not match the shooting suspect and was not an accurate person of interest. However, he has been booked into the county jail by Utah Valley University Police Department for obstruction of justice.
Nice. A little petty, but...
We still have an active investigation.
All right.
For the person of interest. This incident occurred with a large crowd around. There was one shot fired and one victim. While the suspect is at large, we believe this was a targeted attack towards one individual. This is a tragic moment in our state and in our country. As we heal, we encourage everyone who is struggling with news of the incident to call 988, our state mental health crisis line. In addition to that, our partners with the FBI will also be discussing other ways we can communicate through the public for tips and other information. Thank you.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the FBI, we extend our sincerest condolences to the family and friends of Charlie Kirk. Our thoughts are also with the people who witnessed this traumatic event. We know that what you experienced was very difficult. Our thoughts are with you as well. As soon as we heard about the shooting, special agents and personnel from the Salt Lake Field Office responded immediately. We have full resources devoted to this investigation, including tactical, operational, investigative, and intelligence. To be clear, the FBI will fully support and co-lead this investigation alongside with our partners. We are working on setting up a digital media tip line, and as soon as it's established, we'll get that information out to everyone. I know there's a lot of questions. This is very much an active case, and this investigation is in its early stages. We are following all the leads and all the evidence.
This investigation's in its early stages seems self-apparent, but okay.
For local law enforcement.
If they said this investigation is concluded at this point, that would be more shocking.
On behalf of President Tumenez, who we've been communicating with, and she's on her way back right now, I say that on behalf of Utah Valley University, we are shocked and saddened by the tragic passing of Charlie Kirk. We express our sincere condolences to the Kirk family. We grieve with our students, faculty, and staff who bore witness to this unspeakable tragedy. He was invited by the student group Turning Point USA to speak on our campus. We firmly believe that UVU is a place to share ideas and to debate openly and respectfully. Any attempt to infringe on those rights has no place here. We do not condone any form of violence at UVU and seek to make our campus a safe place for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this dark and tragic occasion. I want to thank our law enforcement officers who are leading this investigation, starting with Chief Long and his response here with the UVU Police Department. We're grateful for your leadership and your team. And again, to the speakers that you've just heard from who are co-leading this investigation. I also want to recognize Sheriff Mike Smith, who has been an invaluable partner as this investigation moves forward. I've been in touch with President Trump, with FBI Director Kash Patel. We are completely aligned with our state and federal partners as we work through this case. Now, this is a dark day for our state. It's a tragic day for our nation. And I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination. We are celebrating 250 years of the founding of this great nation. That founding document, the Declaration of Independence, that this great experiment on which we embarked together 250 years ago, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. The first one of those is life. And today, a life was taken. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a dad to two young children. He was also very much politically involved, and that's why he was here on campus. Charlie believed in the power of free speech and debate to shape ideas and to persuade people. Historically, our university campuses in this nation and here in the state of Utah have been the place where truth and ideas are formulated and debated.
That's what it's supposed to be.
That's what he does. He comes on college campuses and he debates.
Yep.
That is foundational to the formation of our country, to our most basic constitutional rights. And when someone takes the life of a person because of their ideas or their ideals, then that very constitutional foundation is threatened.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Person of interest in custody, the investigation is ongoing. But I want to make it crystal clear right now, to whoever did this, we will find you. We will try you. And we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law.
You're going to have a bad time, guy, wherever you are.
I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah.
Yeah, that's true.
Our nation is broken. We've had political assassinations recently in Minnesota. We had an attempted assassination on the governor of Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And we had an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate and former president of the United States, and now current president of the United States. Nothing I say can unite us as a country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken. Nothing I can say can bring back Charlie Kirk. Our hearts are broken. We mourn with his wife, his children, his family, his friends. We mourn as a nation. If anyone in the sound of my voice celebrated even a little bit at the news of this shooting, I would beg you to look in the mirror and to see if you can find a better angel in there somewhere.
Nice line.
I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American. We desperately need our country. We desperately need leaders in our country. But more than the leaders, we just need every single person in this country to think about where we are and where we want to be. To ask ourselves, is this it? Is this what 250 years has wrought on us? I pray that that's not the case.
Nice.
I pray that those who hated what Charlie Kirk stood for will put down their social media and their pens and pray for his family, and that all of us will try to find a way to stop hating our fellow Americans. With that, we're happy to take a few questions.
You know, for an improv speech, that was fairly fucking good. You know, that was really fucking good for an improv speech. I mean, it was tight. It didn't overextend its welcome. It was kind of structured. That was really good, man. You know, I used to do like competition improv speeches for Toastmasters. I'm like, that was good. That was really good, man. You could win an award with that kind of speech. Good job, man. Wow, impressive. Not bad at all. That was really good.
FBI director is posting that a suspect is in custody. I would just like clarification. Do you or do you not have a suspected shooter in custody?
We have a person of interest in custody that is being interviewed right now.
That is not George Zinn.
That is not George Zinn. That is correct.
Is there any indication
or looking for another shooter or anybody else related to this?
Yes, we are actively looking for anyone and everyone who has any possible information relating to this shooting.
Can you tell us details about the suspect being taken into custody? Where? How long ago?
We cannot at this point, but we will get you that information when we can.
Is there believed to be a second individual involved in the shooting?
At this point, there is no information that would lead us to believe that there is a second person involved.
Can you guys talk about the possible shooter?
Do you want to talk about what we know there? Yeah.
The only information we have on the suspect, the possible shooter, is taken from closed circuit TV here on campus. We do have that. We're analyzing it, but it is security camera footage, so you can kind of guess what the quality of that is. But we do know dressed in all dark clothing, but we don't have a much better description other than that.
Where do you believe the shot came from?
The shot came from here on campus, from a location at a fair, potentially from a roof, yes. A longer distance shot from a roof.
So to clarify, with the security camera footage you have and the person of interest that's in custody, does that match up?
That's what we're trying to decipher right now.
So did FBI or DHS have anything on the threat board this morning?
I can't speak to that.
I'll just say that the investigation's ongoing, and as soon as we have further information, we will be sure to release it.
Any indications of foreign intelligence involvement?
As of now, I can't comment on any of that.
Can you talk a little bit about the security of the event itself? Who was there security-wise, and what happens on these kind of events?
So my name is Jeff Long. I'm the police chief here at UVU, and I'll tell you right now, we are devastated. We're a small police department. We have a very large campus. We have over 40,000 students.
That's a lot.
We love our students.
40,000 is a hefty number.
Devastated by what happened.
It's like twice the size of Clemson. That's a lot. Damn.
I'm very saddened for the Kirk family. I know his wife and parents found out about this. You know, obviously he's away from home. He's here in Utah. They find out by a police officer that visits their home. That's tragic. Nobody wants that. But I can tell you about our venue today. This was an open venue. This was outside. We did have 6 officers working that event. We had probably over 3,000 people that were in attendance. It sat down in kind of a bowl area here on the central campus. We have a waterfall area, and so he was kind of in a lower area, surrounded by buildings. You know, we had some plainclothes police officers that were in the crowd as well. You know, we train for these things, and you think you have things covered, and you know, these things, you know, unfortunately, they happen. You try to get your bases covered, and unfortunately today we didn't. And
who was in charge for security? The Secret Service?
Officers there. We had Charlie Kirk's team. He has a security team that travels with him, and they were here with him when he was shot.
Was the gun recovered?
I'm sorry. See.
Was the weapon recovered?
At this point I can't disclose that.
When Charlie Kirk was shot, there was a question being asked about mass shooting. Was that person apprehended, and do you know who asked that question?
Say the question again. I don't know if I understand what you're saying.
When Charlie Kirk was shot, he was answering a question about mass shootings specifically. Was that person apprehended, and do you know who asked that question?
I do not. We do not have that at this moment.
What kind of weapon was used?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have time for just one more question, so thank you.
Yeah, a question for the chief as well. Was it your team or Kirk's team, or a combination of both, that kind of set the security protocol for the event?
So we work together. You know, he has his team, and they do this all over the country. We all know that. This is not uncommon for them. They're very comfortable on campuses, and I was coordinating with his lead security guy, and so yeah, we were working together.
Was this a sharpshooter type shot?
Ladies and gentlemen, those are all the questions that will be answered today. Again, thank you for covering this. We will be updating you as soon as we have additional information through normal channels, working with law enforcement. Again, our deepest condolences to the Kirk family and to the students who were there today. I would just ask everyone everywhere to please pray for their family and to pray for our country. We need it now more than ever. Thank you.
Didn't you say the governor was going to speak? I seem to remember you saying something about the governor. Where's the governor?
To our media partners, we will be sending a release out with updates through one channel of information, whether it's DPS or FBI. So please make sure that you fill out the Google form with updates specific to this incident. Thank you.
I was promised the governor. Where'd they go? Travis apparently missed my joke. Yeah, Travis apparently missed my joke. Or someone missed the joke. Someone missed the joke because I said who was guarding him, the Secret Service. And then Travis over here is like, well, the Secret Service wouldn't protect him. He's a civilian. I'm like, yes, I know that. But then again, we had a sniper on a roof that wasn't secured. And people saw the sniper before the shot was taken. So I ask again, who was in charge of security? The Secret Service? Dutch. Thank you for coming to my comedy hour. Yeah. No. So apparently I had to explain the joke to somebody, but that's okay.
Just really impressed by everything he was able to accomplish, especially in this last election.
What do you think is the way, and it's very
have this in your head or your heart of what you think the way forward is.
Oh, that was the governor? Oh, okay.
We need to get back to church.
Oh, I thought they would like introduce him and make a bigger deal of it. Which one's the governor? He isn't the governor. No, that guy on the right is the chief of police of the campus. None of these people are a governor. No, come on. Yeah. Governor Cox, that was the governor who gave that speech? Really? That was the governor? And that explained why he was so good at the improv.
For their family.
Oh.
As of now, I can't comment on any of that.
Can you talk a little about the security of the event itself?
In Minnesota.
Oh, I guess it is the governor. Okay, then. All right. Well, that would explain why he was so good at the improv. He's professional. Oh, okay. Sorry, Governor. Sorry for the disrespect. I was confused by your badging. I apologize. Yeah. No, I see it says governor now. Yeah, I see that now. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, that explains why he was so good at the improv speech. I'm like, damn, he's really good. He's really good at the improv speech, man. He's like, Toastmaster professional. He's like, that's really good for an improv speech. Oh, no wonder he's so good. He's the governor. Oh, okay. That explains a lot. Oh, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, he doesn't look a lot like a governor. I'm not really getting governor vibes, to be honest. From this guy. I mean, I'm not really 100% sure what it says. I'm not really getting governor vibes, but okay. Apparently that's Utah's governor. Noted. Noted. Okay. Sorry for the disrespect. Apologize, Governor.
Joined in just a moment by Reagan to tell us what it was like with Reagan Conrad, what it was like as a young person looking up to Charlie. But what I will come back to is this: there are so many layers here. There's the layer of free speech under threat. There is the layer.
Up with you as there are updates that come in.
Well spoken does not equal governor. Tim Waltz, fair enough.
Your thoughts on a terrible day?
That's a fair point.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, there's legit nothing to say. I mean, it's rare that there's nothing to say, but there's truly nothing to say. I mean, unthinkable, absolutely unthinkable. I mean, I've known Charlie Kirk since Charlie was 18 years old. I met Charlie when...
I bet Ben Shapiro is going to be upping his security a little bit more than he already was. Yeah.
And I was a significantly younger man. I was 13 years ago.
Does anyone have like some commies I could shoot or something? I just need to get it out of my system, guys. I mean, Travis, you've got to know where I can find some commies or something. I mean, Travis, I won't tell anyone. You've got to help a brother out. I need to take a baseball bat and beat the life out of 4 or maybe 5 commies. I've just really got to, get it out of my system, Travis. You've got to know where I can find some commies. I can use a baseball bat maybe, or maybe a tire iron. That'd be good. Or a crowbar. That's positive. I'm open to other bludgeoning instruments. I really think it should be bludgeoning though, because that's much more personal. I want it to be a little bit more personal with the bludgeoning. So if Travis, you got to hook a brother up. I'm just saying, you've got to hook a brother up. You got to tell me where I can find some commies, so I can feel a little bit better about my day.
So I was in my late 20s, and I was working at the David Horowitz Freedom Center.
Calm down. You guys need to understand how humor works. All the people in chat who are like, calm down. You guys need to calm down. You guys need to like chill out. It's okay, guys. Jesus Christ.
I met Charlie Kirk when he was a fresh-faced, bushy-tailed youngster who started Turning Point USA legitimately right out of high school. And he'd already found a couple of seed founders, but he was kind of walking around the David Horowitz Freedom Center event looking for donors. And I started introducing him around to donors. And I remember turning to Jeremy Boring, our co-founder here at Daily Wire, and turning to him at the time, because we both worked there, and saying, that kid is going to be the head of the RNC.
Yeah.
And I was wrong.
Yeah, I remember.
He wasn't the head of the RNC. He created his own organization that was significantly more important than the RNC, the most important conservative organization in the country. And Charlie was unendingly energetic, optimistic, a coalition builder, somebody who got better at everything that he did.
Yeah.
Truly. I mean, I watched him from his youngest days. He got better at speaking. He got better at debating. He got better at fundraising. He was great at all of these things. But the thing that there's so many, you know, kind of layers of horror here, so many layers of horror. Obviously, just as a human being, Charlie's a 31-year-old man who believed in God. As a Christian, he believed in Christ. He's with God now. He had a wife and two children, two very, very young children who will now grow up without a father. And when he was a young single guy, right? I mean, now he's a full-grown adult man with family, preaching in favor of marriage and family and religion and all the things that actually matter to all of us. And what does it mean for our country? Truly, what does it mean for our country when, for the crime of speaking freely, having normal debates in public, Charlie lost his life? Charlie was an unending well of energy, just endless energy, bundle of energy, like exhausting levels of energy, actually. And yet, and what stopped Charlie Kirk is a murderer's bullet, is an assassin's bullet. And we don't know who the assassin is yet. We don't know what the cause of the assassin was yet. I'm sure it will be political, because it would be unthinkable for it not to be. But something has happened in our country that is so massively and unbelievably horrifying and dangerous. The murder of a young, beautiful person for the crime of speaking freely and passionately about the topics that matter is just, it's beyond me. It's beyond, I think, all of us. And it's a symptom of a broader ill in American society, an ill that says that politics are blood sport, that if you challenge ideas, that you're challenging somebody's existence, and therefore you are fair game to be murdered in cold blood, in public, in front of everyone. And we've seen so many instances of violence being excused and looked away, particularly by the political left these days. And I fear that it's not going to end. I fear that it only gets worse from here. That's my fear. It's a moment for I think, where we could, as a country, say no more of this. We've had periods in American history like this before, the 1960s and 70s being one. And at a certain point, Americans said, no, we're not doing this anymore. But I wonder if the American body politic has the immune response necessary to stop this massive evil from ever happening again in our country. But then after I have all those sort of political thoughts and all of that, and kind of meander my way around, what I come back to is poor Charlie. That's really what I come back to. And I understand he's with God now. And I understand that for Christians, that's a cause for celebration. But I just have to say that in my own view of Charlie Kirk, is a person who deserved 90 more years of life. He deserved to make a difference on this planet in favor of the country that he loved for decades more. He deserved to sit and raise his family. He deserved to be able to bounce his children on his knee and hug them and kiss them goodnight. And whoever is responsible for this, there are no words for the evil that this person has just inflicted on not only Charlie's family, but on the country, and he made the world a significantly worse place today.
Charlie, as you point out, was very good at many things and kept getting better and better and better at all of those things, at organizing, at getting out the vote, at fundraising, at messaging, at persuading, at reading, it's just at everything, at understanding faith, at everything. And one of the things that he had absolutely been dominating on, had become synonymous with, was open debate with your ideological opponents. Gracious, charitable, open debate anywhere with your ideological opponents. A lot of people have done that over the years, but he was the man for that in this moment in our time. And one has this sinking feeling. If he did that, and he did it so well, and they killed that guy, what comes next?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've had this thought myself a lot. Obviously, some of us have been doing that on campuses for a very long time, right? And I've been in a lot of situations that felt, not particularly safe. I mean, when I spoke at Berkeley years ago, they required something like 500 police officers to quote unquote ensure my safety, and I always thought it was overkill. I really did. Mm-hmm. I mean, I had been wearing bulletproof vests at these events for years, specifically because security told me that it wasn't overkill. But I always thought it was overkill. I always thought, this is a great country. This is not a country where people get murdered for just speaking freely about political issues of the day. I had faith in America that I grew up in that didn't do this sort of thing, that would never tolerate this, certainly would never celebrate this sort of thing, certainly would never go on TV and talk about the justification, the emotional justification for this sort of thing, or go on TV as we're actually seeing hosts today do, and try to or make excuses or suggest that because Charlie had...
Make sure I have a glove and ball in the car. I could do that, or I could just make sure I have my Glock 26 in the car. Yeah. Welcome to Texas.
Had the wrong views, that somehow he had contributed to this, or this sort of monstrous response. And that's not the country that I grew up in. And so, when Michael, you've done it too. Every time you go to a college campus, you'll have friends and family who will say things like, well, don't you feel unsafe? And my answer was always, no, I never felt unsafe.
Yeah.
Even if I had security, I said, I'm the safest guy in the building. I've got security. I've got a vest. Like, okay.
Security. And even when people would, there have been a few instances where someone throws an explosive, or when someone busts open a door, something like that. And even then, I guess there's this sense of, well, look, it could never really go south. It couldn't, come on, we're just debating ideas. Right. Come on, we're just giving a college lecture or something. I mean, it's why even at this moment, I'm having trouble accepting
processing this. It's almost impossible to process. It's impossible to process. That's right. Yes. And now I will say that just on a public policy basis, this is the end of all outdoor public events. Like, they're done. I mean, in terms of political events, it's over. Yep. And we saw the president of the United States almost shot in the head during an outdoor public event. We saw Charlie Kirk murdered in front of all of us at an outdoor public event. That's over. And we're going to lose something with that. And we're going to lose something in losing debate. We're going to, something is broken in this country, deeply, deeply broken in this country, for somebody like Charlie Kirk to just be assassinated again for the great crime of...
This is so fucked up. This is so fucked up. I'm having trouble processing it too. I'm having trouble in understanding what it means for where we are as a country. Maybe it was just one too many things. It was just one too many things. But I am so mad. I know that I'm joking around and stuff like that, but I am so mad. The only reason, I'm not well, there's a couple reasons I'm not raging. First of all, in past streams when I've gone real full rage mode, it tends not to end well for me in terms of people, posting about it, and people saying how unbalanced I am and all the rest of it. So me going full rage mode tends not to work out well for me. Another reason is just not good for my health. Another reason is because I don't want to spiral into that level of depression right now. Another reason is I don't think I've accepted that it's real. So I think there's a denial element to it. But it's what is it? it's the saying that like a joke is jokes are like half truths told in jest. Is like one of the things that makes a joke is that it's like half true. Like, for example, I want to strap up and go into the streets and shoot some commies, but not really, but also kinda. But not really, but also kinda. Right? It's like, you know, I am so pissed. Yeah, seething resignation. It's like, I'm seething. I'm seething. Yeah. 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 It's a lot. It's stages of grief. Yeah, it very well could be that. Yeah. And like again, like this comment slightly bothers me. Like from Sophia Hill. Those feelings are what the shooter intended. Yeah, but like what his intentions are or not are kind of like irrelevant. Right? This is like you can only push somebody so far. And this is like this is sort of the idea of the quiet man or the calm man. You know, the sort of the cliche. One of the cliches of like the calm man is that he's calm until he's not. Right? And everyone thinks that they can poke the calm man because he's calm, and then someone takes it too far, and then the calm man goes to war, and he's like, oh no, yeah, it's like, oh, he was, you know, is that like blessed are the meek, so because they will inherit the earth, right? And as has been said before, the correct translation of meek is not like someone who's powerless. The correct translation of meek is someone who has a sword but keeps it sheathed. But he has the sword so he keeps it sheathed until he doesn't. And so you know you fuck around, and eventually you find out. And so like, well, the shooter may or may not. I can't speak to what the shooter did or did not intend. And to be honest, to some degree, I don't care. Because it's like, well, you know, if you provoke someone long enough, eventually, you know, they're going to want to fight back. And then, you know, if you try to respond by saying, you know, why are you losing your temper? Right? Because this is like the cliche too. It's like it's especially from like women, it seems to be, and especially, but like, the women who provoke like a man, and then when he finally loses his shit, they're like, I can't believe he lost control. I can't believe he lost his temper. It's like, you fucked around long enough, you know, thinking it would always be okay, and then it turned out to not be okay. Right? I mean, you know, everyone has a breaking point, basically. You know? And if you keep poking, eventually you're going to find it. And so it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I can't speak to what the shooter wanted me to feel. But if he wants war, you know, if he wants war, you know, he's closer to getting it than he was yesterday. Yeah. Weak men make hard times make strong men, and so forth and so on. Right? That old chestnut, right? It's like maybe men have stepped out of the picture for a while. Maybe we're ready to step back into the picture. It's like, oh yeah. Yeah. It's like maybe, yeah, all that stuff too. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, maybe we're ready to go to war. You know, we tried to be nice. And you mistook our niceness and kindness for weakness. That's the thing, right? That's the problem. You mistook our kindness and niceness for weakness. It's like, we're ready to show you how not weak we are. Those kinds of feelings. Yeah. Yeah. And then, then the people that, finally, the people that finally provoked, get attacked by the bear, and then they get sad because, they get their ass handed to them. And they wonder what happened. What happened? The bear was so calm. No, 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 no.
Speaking what used to just be known as sort of traditional conservative values. That is
just normal. Just
I've been saying to folks,
normal.
it's a political assassination. I mean, it's not just a murder; it's a political assassination. It's the worst political assassination in half a century in this country. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been assassination attempts on presidents. Obviously, Ronald Reagan was shot. There was an attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Both of them lived. The actual full-scale murder of a 31-year-old superstar like Charlie,
future president,
for the great crime of saying things on college campuses that people didn't want to hear. Something needs to change. Something needs to change. And the people who lead that change cannot be people who agreed with Charlie. It needs to be the people who disagreed with Charlie, because I promise you that when the political motivation of the person who did this comes out, it's not going to be somebody who agreed with Charlie. It's not going to be somebody who was warm to Charlie's message. It's going to be somebody who is of the belief that because Charlie spoke words are a form of violence and an erasure of identity, and therefore Charlie has to be silenced. It's horrifying. Nobody should believe that in a free republic. The foundations of the republic, I don't really believe I'm exaggerating when I say this shakes the foundations of the country. Because if we cannot trust each other to have normal conversations in public about basic issues of governance and policy and values, how the hell are we supposed to have a country together? How? It's not possible.
That's right. I agree. Ben, I'm going to leave the stream to you. And I know a lot of people are going to tune in and be processing this all together. And I'm sure all of us will be praying. Good to see you, pal.
Yeah, well, we all need to be praying. We need to keep praying for Charlie, for his family, and for the country, most of all. I appreciate it, Michael. All right, folks.
Yeah, I'm going through a lot of different feelings. As I try to process this is one does. I'm going through feelings of violence. I'm going through feelings of mourning. I'm going through feelings of yeah. I'm going to listen to a little bit more of this while I try to process my own thoughts.
Folks, so if you're just joining us right now, the reason that we are broadcasting right now is because one of the most tragic things in modern American history has now befallen the country. One of the greatest acts of evil in modern American history has now befallen the country. The assassination of my friend and a truly great human being, Charlie Kirk. Charlie was shot to death a little bit earlier today. He was shot to death in Utah. He was speaking at a college campus. He was doing one of his usual sort of tete-a-tetes with a variety of students where he would have sort of an open setting and people would come up and they would ask him questions and they would go at him and he'd go back at them and then there'd be a viral clip, all in good fun, all an element of sort of the political debate that happens in the country just as a matter of course and has been the legacy of this country, different than virtually all other countries in the history of the world. Well, Charlie.
But yeah, I definitely have a feeling today where it's like there's this feeling that, for lack of a better description, I don't know how to describe it, other than a feeling of I want to go to war. It's like I don't know how to describe this other than with that expression. Maybe it's a vocabulary issue. Maybe there's a better way of expressing the idea I'm going for. But I have a feeling today it was a political assassination. Right? I mean, you just heard Ben say it's a political assassination. And so they basically assassinated one of my political leaders because he's a leader on my side. And so what is a pretty normal reaction when you assassinate a political leader? Isn't it like for the country to go to war? Isn't that kind of normal? It's like when you assassinate the leader. It's like everyone wants to go to war because you just assassinated the leader. So it's like, that's kind of how I feel. I feel like I want to go to war. You know, I feel like I want to go to war with my 45-year-old out of shape ass. You know? I don't know how else to describe it. It's like, it's a bridge too far. They've crossed a line. They've assassinated a political leader. They're gloating in it. They're reveling in it. They've got the whole dupers delight thing. And I want to take all those people that we've seen on TikTok, I want to take all of them and shove their smiling, happy, joyous faces into a meat grinder. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's, you know. They started it. We can finish it. That kind of thing. Going medieval, and so forth and so on. You know, Lady Justice, lest we forget, of course, Lady Justice does have scales in one hand. What does she have in the other hand, chat? Yeah.
He was doing that when suddenly a shot rang out. Apparently the shot was fired from approximately 200 yards away from on top of a building, and the bullet struck Charlie in the neck. And by the footage, which I certainly do not recommend watching, I hope that people stop trafficking the footage, because it is horrifying in every way. And Charlie should not be remembered like that. He should be remembered for what he was, which was a political superstar. And we'll get to my feelings for Charlie in a second, and my experiences with Charlie and who Charlie was. The shot rang out from about 200 yards away, and it looks like effectively Charlie, he survived until he got to the hospital, but it looks like he was almost instantaneously killed. It's one of the most horrifying things I have ever seen in my entire life. I've known Charlie Kirk since he was 18 years old, which means that I would have been about 28, about 10 years older than Charlie. I was working at the time at the David Horowitz Freedom Center, where I was the editor-in-chief of a website called Truth Revolt. And Charlie showed up at the Breakers, which is kind of a ritzy hotel in Palm Beach. And he was fundraising. He had just started an organization that he was introducing around as Turning Point USA. Nobody ever heard of it. Nobody ever heard of him. I met Charlie. Charlie was an unending ball of energy at 18 years old. And one of the things that I've said around the company before is you cannot teach grit. It's a thing that cannot be taught. You either have it or you don't. There is no person with more grit, more get-go, more gumption, more enthusiasm and energy than Charlie Kirk. Didn't exist. It was almost exhausting. When Charlie was at the Breakers and we met Charlie, and he was going around just moving around the room, introducing himself to everybody, saying he wanted to start a conservative activist organization that was going to transform how young people thought about politics. I remember turning to Jeremy Boring, who was also at David Horowitz Freedom Center at the time, and saying to Jeremy, that kid is going to be the head of the RNC one day. And we agreed on that at the time. And I've been saying it for years. And it turns out that Charlie was significantly more than that. It turns out that Charlie ended up founding the single most important political conservative organization of our era in Turning Point USA, driving hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions of people, to the polls, registering voters, putting up these enormous events that drew together tens of thousands of conservatives at one time, helping to lead the debates on the critical issues, going to college campuses. Again, all of this was because Charlie just never stopped moving, just never, ever stopped moving. And I watched Charlie grow from the outside. Obviously, Charlie and I were friends, but Charlie had closer friends than I was with Charlie. He had family, obviously, but watching Charlie over the course of his career.
$20 from Katie, Texas Katie did. Some journalists are using this as an opportunity to slam Charlie, Christians, and conservatives. This shows how evil can take over some people, organizations. Please boycott MSNBC. No, look, I was already mad at MSNBC. We had on our earlier stream, which I believe has been rendered private at this point, but we already had some sharp words from MSNBC for some of the bullshit they had. So yeah, we've already had some sharp words in MSNBC's direction today. I promise you. Yeah, no. Yeah, we've had some sharp words for a lot of people today. I started with like a whole thing. Am I a political leader? Well, no, because I'm not really political. In my nature, I'm a legal analyst, not really a political analyst. But if I were a political analyst, I might be a political leader. I'm a legal leader, I guess, but I'm not really, I don't really normally do politics. I normally do law. I guess today is more politics day because it's definitely not law day. It's definitely not, what I really want to have happen is the, FBI to arrest this guy and put him on trial and due process. It's definitely not law day. So if it's not law day, I guess it's politics day. I don't know. But either way.
Decent vantage point. Charlie was dedicated to making the country better and to making himself better at things. I remember when Charlie first started, he wasn't an amazing speaker. By the time he finished, he was a terrific speaker. Charlie didn't start off as somebody who was fluent in debate. By the time he finished, he was terrific at debate. Charlie started off as a pretty good fundraiser. He ended as an amazing fundraiser. Charlie Kirk was a coalition builder. He was somebody who was focused on the idea that in order to win power, to effectuate change, you actually do have to build coalitions. And that means talking to wide varieties of people, many of whom disagree with one another. And that's a difficult business. It's dirty business. It means that you're talking with a bunch of people you don't agree with nearly all the time. And Charlie mastered that art. On a
time of law, world, the law fies silent. Oh yeah. Inter arma silent Lega, something like that. Damn, it's been a while.
On a personal level, Charlie, I watched him grow from a very young man, 18 years old, to become a father of two, become a husband. I watched Charlie grow in his religious belief. If you watch tapes of Charlie over the course of the last year, he almost invariably talks about God, talks about the Bible, talks about his belief in Christ. And Charlie was murdered for the great crime of speaking publicly about controversial issues with people in a normal conversation, in a normal debate and discussion setting. That is why he was murdered. We don't know yet the identity of the person who murdered Charlie Kirk, who assassinated Charlie Kirk. We don't know who that person was. The President of the United States has ordered all flags across the country lowered to half staff in honor of Charlie Kirk. Again, it's just, I can't even believe these are words that are coming out of my mouth. I cannot even believe it, because Charlie was 31 years old. He was
$20 from Turney Net. If Alex Jones can be sued, every org individual that promoted this rhetoric as inciting violence should be sued. Yeah, if Wishing made it so, but no. If Wishing made it so, but no. But I'm going to do my part in just calling out the mainstream media for their hypocritical bullshit. Right? My principal complaint is, for the moment, is that the media and social media and the left wing do not treat things equally. It depends on whether it furthers the objective. Do they like gun violence? It depends. Do they like mass violence? It depends. They think speech is violence, apparently, which necessitates violence back, I guess. Also, silence is violence, which is nice. So both speech and silence is violence. So that's a nice touch. But my principal complaint is with the duplicity of the media coverage. Yeah.
31 years old. Absolutely just horrifying. And, I know that.
You saw a shooting, it looks fishy. It doesn't look fishing to me. It looks like someone got shot in the neck.
On a religious level, obviously he's with God now. And for many people that are religious, that's a cause for rejoicing, not for despair. For me, on behalf of the country, I don't despair on Charlie's behalf. I also believe that Charlie's with God. But I despair on behalf of my country. I feel horrific for his family. I just think to myself, Charlie's sitting there and he's debating politics, and the next moment, the bullet is passing through his neck. And I just think poor Charlie, my friend, person I knew pretty well, and from the time he's again very, very young. It's just devastating in every way it's possible for it to be devastating. Just every way it's possible for it to be devastating. The President of the United States put out a statement on Truth Social, lamenting and mourning the death of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, there's no way he made it to the hospital. I don't believe it for a second. Yeah, with the amount of blood that was coming out of his neck, he was basically dead instantly. He's hit in the chest, the bolt exited the neck. That doesn't make any sense. And also, I've literally watched it frame by frame. He was shot from the front and it came out the back. So yeah, I literally watched it frame by frame. So according to me, frame by frame, it entered the neck, then pushed his cloth back, so it was front to back. And that was an entry wound, not an exit wound. That came in his necks. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Yeah, it entered his neck. Yeah, from the front, and then kind of went towards the side and pushed his shirt out of the way, and yeah. You think he had on plate armor and it bounced off the armor? Let's go back to that beautiful bean footage and I can rewatch it again. Okay. It doesn't really make sense though, but okay. Oh my God. What the fuck just happened on the floor of the U.S. House? What the fuck?
What purpose does the gentlelady from Colorado rise? Let's wait a minute. The House will be in order. The House will be in order.
Someone just dropped the F-bomb on the floor of the House? Because that's epic.
Let's wait a minute. Let's wait a minute.
Nice.
Wait a minute. The House will be in order. 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 We will join prayer right after this. Okay.
Apparently, Lauren Berbert asked for a moment of silence, and then some Democrats can be heard shouting no. And then everything went to hell. Great. Just great. Just great. And then someone dropped the F-bomb. Unclear who. What is this shit? Yeah. The House isn't a place of prayer. They didn't call for prayer. They called for a moment of silence, and it's not unusual. And also, they literally open up every session of the House with prayer. Did you not know that? Did you not know? that? Did you not know that they open every single session? All of them. Every single session of the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate with a prayer. Did you not? Did you not know that? You're an idiot. Who's the chaplain of the Senate? Well, I don't know the name of the person off the top of my head. I don't know that they necessarily have a set chaplain. I think they might rotate people, but I'm not sure exactly how it works. But I digress. You're glad to be an idiot? I don't even know where to start with that. You're glad to be an idiot. Okay, that's interesting. All right. Noted. Okay, we got this woman here to the cause from Turtle Boy. Would like to say this woman, Anne Marie Donahue, is a 9th grade English teacher in your town of Holden. My kids go apparently to school. Could have her in class in a few years. After finding out a 31-year-old father of 2 was murdered, she simply posted just a reminder we're not offering sympathy on Instagram. Okay, well, you know, again, the warlike feelings are increasing. Does anyone happen to have any war paint? Like I could do some like this thing or something, you know? Does anyone happen to have any war paint I could borrow? Because I'm feeling like I might need it. Thanks, you evil cow woman. Thanks, you're great. I hate you. All right, so we got TMZ, Heroes for the Cause.
If he's still on the loose because they want to find him. So I would think that that's one of the main reasons they're holding this news conference. So my guess is we're going to see an image of this guy possibly in the next 20 minutes. The news conference is scheduled for 3 o'clock in Utah time, which is 2 o'clock Pacific. 5 o'clock Eastern. Janet, go to have somebody look at the Fox. Trump just posted that Charlie Kirk is dead.
All right, so is this ready to pull the trigger? We can get Trump cut in a second.
Shame on the TMZ staff for cheering and hooting and hollering. Fuck those people.
What did Trump say?
Yeah, who sent it?
So what did Trump say? Yeah, Trump just said he's dead. Yeah, he just said it. Okay.
And my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife.
Like right now.
Yeah. True Social. True Social.
Where is it?
It's number 2 and pending.
Got it. You're still in
There are
it.
people on TMZ cheering because they're evil.
Okay.
Next time one of their favorites dies, I'll be cheering. As long as we're cheering for deaths, I'll be happy to cheer when one of their favorites dies. Now that we're doing that. Be happy to drink champagne and then piss over their grave while I'm at it too. Travis, you can represent me on the public indecency charge for exposing myself as I'm pissing on the grave. That'd be great. I may need a lawyer. Thanks, Travis. Oh, yeah, no.
Great.
Shit, dude. Yeah. You might be right. It's really hard to tell from this. It's possible that he was wearing some sort of plate and it bounced off of it. You might be right. I mean, it's hard to tell. His shirt. Okay, the first thing that happens is like his shirt pops up. Okay. So, like, because we're really doing this frame by frame now. Okay. So, this is the first frame. This is, yeah. This is, can I make this any bigger? Yes, I can. All right. So, this is the first frame that he shot. So, before this, his t shirt is just flat, like, okay. So, this is what his shirt looks like. And I have to go back and forth every frame because I don't want to actually show too much. So, this is just what he looks like as he's sitting down. This is his steady state. So his shirt just kind of looks normal. And you can see what looks like it might be the outline of some sort of plate underneath. It looks like it could be a plate underneath there. It's possible. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then the next thing that happens, the next frame, you get his shirt sort of puffing out. Right? So it's like, but I can't see a hole anywhere. It's not really, I can't see it, but okay. And then, like in the next frame, yeah. So it's possible that it, like, you might be right. It might have ricocheted off his chest and hit up. It's hard to tell. I mean, I can't see a bullet hole in his shirt. Yeah, it might have bounced off some sort of plate he's wearing. It's possible. You wouldn't see an entry hole for most things? Possible. Yeah, I can't see it. At least not from this angle. I can't see it. Watching this in slow-mo, frame by frame, is not a good idea for me psychologically. I've now watched this multiple times, frame by frame, and this is a bad idea for me psychologically. I should not have done that. That was a bad idea. I need to bail out of this right now. That was a bad idea. I need to bail out now. Okay, let's go watch some puppies instead. Let's watch some puppies instead for a while. Here's a puppy sleeping. That puppy's cute. Okay. Aww. That's a nice puppy. Aww. That's a cute puppy. Okay, there's a cat. Cat's pretty. There's another cat. Neat. There's a cat with nice eyes. Okay. There's a cow and a baby cow. Aww. There's a little wolf dog. Nice dog. Don't watch the video. Way too late for that, my friend. Way, way too late for that. River and the Yeehaw hat. Uh-huh. There's a cute dog. There's a cow. Nice. There's a big cat. Big cat. There's a dog. There's a hamster. All right, I feel better. Yeah, I don't recommend the video, and I certainly don't recommend watching it multiple times in slow-mo, frame by frame, trying to figure out exactly what happened. That was a bad plan, and I really shouldn't have done that in retrospect. So let's not do that anymore.
Basically, I heard a loud bang, which I figured a shot would be a little bit louder, but I just saw it hit him in the chest, and then all of a sudden just tons of blood gushing right out where his heart is, and then he like fell over and slumped down, and everybody got down and was screaming, and then we all ran.
Can you describe just, did he appear to be moving afterward or what?
Not at all. I personally believe he was dead on impact.
Oh my goodness.
Me too.
Basically,
well, thanks, Fox News, for that brilliant little interview. That was just genius work there, Fox. Great work. Cenk Uygur actually came out to say something reasonable. That's nice. What happened to Charlie Kirk, Cenk Uygur says, is one of the worst things that's happened in American politics. Fuck whoever did this. Not only deeply trafficked, but now we're in danger. We are, because the temperature just went to an unhealthy place. I think I'm not alone in feeling this. I'm getting the sense that I'm not alone in feeling this. I think a lot of people are thinking that a bridge just got crossed. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But like, yep. Yeah. $5 from space, Emerald Dahl. Obviously, sure is the main person. What the university's liability? Probably nothing. Although I couldn't speak to it. But if it's a state school, also probably nothing because of sovereign immunity. I don't know. I'm just going to go with nothing. Rosemary J said for $5. So never so much hate. It's worse freedom of speech? Yeah, not so much, right? Yeah, some sort of bridge is crossed. It feels like it, yeah. Where's my outrage? I'm very outraged. I'm incredibly outraged. I'm outraged on levels. I've been talking, not fully ironically, about going to war. I'm pretty outraged. Yeah, I'm pretty outraged. Runkle says he needs to invest in canned food right now. Not the worst idea I've ever heard of, Runkle. There's this bitch teacher again. Fuck you, bitch teacher. Am I religious? Not particularly, no. No, I'm not particularly religious. But I think the conservatives still like me anyway. I don't hate you for being religious, though. If you are religious, see? It's like, I don't hate you or despise you. It's fun. So, you know, yeah. Yeah. All right. What do you think? What did Ethan Klein have to say? Did Ethan Klein say anything intelligent? Probably not.
Thought it was horrific. This is not, and well, like I said at the time, and people on the left were even criticizing me. They go, "Oh, Ethan was talking bad about Luigi." How much has he changed? That was my point. He went out and murdered this guy, right? What changed? Not a single fucking thing changed. That's not how we enact change. And so I wouldn't recommend watching the video, but for me, it.
There's a press conference update on Fox. All right, what the fuck's going on now?
And this, I do this, you know, with training when we talk about crowd managers and stuff. We always say, give them a place to go. Don't just tell them to leave. Give them a place to go, because you want folks to go to some place where you can interview, talk to them, find out what they saw, gather that time-sensitive information. And of course, in some cases where you have a mass shooting, somebody there may know that somebody was shot in a building that you weren't looking at. You go, oh yeah, my friend was with me, but they were hit and I couldn't do anything. I had to get out of there, and they can give information which can get first responders there in time to save their lives. That's why when I saw that they just dispersed everybody, I'm going to be looking at that in the coming days to find out what exactly did happen there, because people just took off of campus and there was no control on where they went or how they did it.
All right, they're talking some bullshit on Fox. I don't have any time for that right now.
Hey guys, it's me again, and it's been a little while. Just before I get into the main topic of the video, I want to explain why there haven't been any videos. My dad has been in the hospital for the better part of a week now. Very serious situation. It has required my full attention, and because of that, I've been on calls.
It's a different stream. Okay, let me see if I can find it. No. That's not it. No. 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 I can't find it. I can't find the stream. Okay, never mind.
dealing with other people, talking to members of the family, and doing everything that I need to be there for my dad and for my family during this situation. And because of that, I haven't been live and I haven't made a lot of videos. I apologize for that. Hopefully I'll be back as soon as possible. That being said, we had something insane happen today, and I was able to break away a little bit earlier, and I wanted to make a video about it and talk about the obvious and inevitable nature of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This happened a few hours ago, and it was probably one of the most gruesome and graphic, and this is coming from somebody who grew up on LiveLeak, videos I've ever seen. The first time I saw a video, I thought it was AI generated. The guy gets shot in the neck and blood is spurting out. I didn't even know it could do that. And it was absolutely fucking horrifying to see something like that happen in front of a massive audience of people. Now, if you don't know who Charlie Kirk is, Charlie Kirk has been a pretty noteworthy, controversial guy. He's a conservative. He goes to a lot of college campuses, does live debates. This is a pretty popular format nowadays, and Charlie Kirk has been popularizing it and utilizing it now for many years. And he was even featured in South Park recently because of it. Charlie Kirk definitely is not a super radical right-wing person, but I would say that he's more of the moderate to, kind of extreme right-wing. Very, very, I would say, lukewarm, though, in my opinion, at least especially, and this is where we're going, especially compared to now. And what I think is going to happen now, because obviously, these shootings like this don't really happen inside of a vacuum, and they never do, they never have. And I think that the situation that we have right now is that there is a tremendous amount of political violence that is advocated for, promoted, and allowed to exist on social media that has turned up the temperature in all political conversations, all social conversations, and all discourse on the internet in general, to a point where it's almost unrecoverable. You have people that are out there all the time advocating for violence, advocating for people to get killed. Somebody needs to take care of this guy. Somebody needs to deal with this. I wish he were dead. Won't somebody do it? The 8647, all of the crypto messaging and all the doxing, right? Why do you dox somebody? Why do you post a person's home address? It's to make other people that are insane, like the person who killed Charlie Kirk, it's to give them the ammunition they need to kill that person and to put that person's life in danger. That's why they're doing it. And so that's the reason why they want to find out the identities of ICE agents. That's the reason why they want to find out the identities of Tesla owners, like at the beginning of the year. It's so they can destroy their car and destroy their lives. And this isn't necessarily a one-sided thing. I think that in the last 5 years or so, especially since BLM, it's been a 90% left-wing thing. But that doesn't mean that the 10% right-wing people are right either. But I do think that now you're going to see a lot more right-wing people balancing out those scales. The fact is that you can take a knife to a gunfight all you want, and you can think that you're honorable, but you're going to end up being dead. And I think that's what right-wing people have done for a very long time. They've tried to speak above the political violence. They've tried to advocate above it and not try to stoop down to that level. But the issue is that a lot of these social media companies have expressed literally zero desire to even do the bare minimum of moderation. I think that two of the worst actors are Twitter or X and Reddit. Both of these platforms are full of a bunch of extremist nut jobs that not only should have their accounts banned, but they should probably be put in mental institutions. And I think that now I find it to be kind of interesting taking a step back for a week or so and seeing how many people are coming around to the inevitable reality that this is the only path forward. There are so many people in society now that are just completely unhinged, under-medicated, and really just completely insane that you can't have a person like that running wild out in society. They cause problems for themselves, not to mention everybody else around them. And I think that the society, we need to have an honest conversation about how to deal with these people in a way that, and I'll be real, I don't really care about the people that are crazy. Their well-being and the way that, things are for them, Of course, obviously, I wouldn't want it to be bad, but it's certainly not important. What's really important is all of the people who aren't crazy, making sure that people that are not crazy, that are good actors, that are law-abiding citizens, are able to live a life of peace, a life of prosperity, and a life without fear of going on the subway, for example, as at the recent event as well. And I think that every single person in the world deserves to live in a place like that. And I don't want to see, America turn into a PvP server. And it sure seems like it is. And I think that in order to prevent that from happening, we need to have honest conversations about what do you do with people that, get arrested 14 times. And it's not even a question, right? You put them in.
What do we do with someone who's been arrested 14 times? Well, a 45 to the back of the head works pretty well.
Jail and you throw away the key and you compel them to work, and that way you can make the money back from imprisoning them forever. That's the way that you solve that problem. It's very simple, actually, but for some reason the way that makes people feel has made them unwilling to look at this obvious truth. If you look in history, this is what we've always done in history, and it's because it works. And the problem is that now we have so much of the discourse that's dominated by emotional thinking, that's dominated by the most unstable, the most virtue signal, the most,
Would that mean turn into a PvP server? Person versus person. As opposed to person versus enemy? It's a gaming thing. He means that reality is going to be a thing where we start attacking each other and killing each other. It was gaming lingo. Don't worry about it. PvP, though, in case you're curious what he said. Yeah.
Ridiculous performative empathy possible, and that's defining a huge political voice in the country. This has become a tremendous detriment to everyone, and I think that with people like the shooter that probably shot Charlie Kirk, with that guy in the subway that stabbed that Ukrainian woman, or with that trans shooter that shot up the school, one thing that's common among all of them is that these people, in almost all cases, were verifiably nuts beforehand, and nothing ever was done about it. And until we can stomach the idea of solving problems like that before they happen, we're going to keep having problems. And I think that with Charlie Kirk, it's very obvious that the amount of, political violence and advocating for political violence that's happening on the internet has turned up the temperature and created an environment and a culture where this type of behavior is normal. And not only is it normal, but it's actually encouraged. And the problem is that now people are acting on it. And you're starting to see this happen, and I think it's going to continue getting worse. I don't think Charlie Kirk is going to be the last one, but I think that we will look at Charlie Kirk's death and see it as a turning point in this topic. And what I'm really trying to get at here with this entire point is that right now we are at a extremely pivotal moment. And I think that what's going to end up happening is that right-wing people are not going to continue to turn the other cheek. They're not going to.
This is what I've been saying. It's like, yeah, this is what I've been saying, or at least same idea at least. It's like, yeah, it feels like. Yeah.
Continue to just, this is just a crazy left-wing radical. I think you're probably going to see right-wing people doing the same thing to left-wing people. And honestly, while I don't think this is a good thing, I certainly don't really feel that sorry for them. Because a lot of left-wing people have no problem advocating for violence, or at least using coded language in order to advocate for violence. The fact is that there's a certain level of intellectual dishonesty that goes on in situations like this where it's considered, oh, well, this isn't actually what they meant, and no, this is actually some others. No, it is. It's exactly what they mean. They're trying to advocate for killing people that they disagree with. That's what's happening, and there's no talking around it. And to the extent that you try to, you're insulting the intelligence of anyone that you're speaking to. And I think that now you're going to start seeing a lot of right-wing people end up doing this to left-wing people now even more, because it's very clear that these social media platforms are not going to moderate this behavior. The FBI, for whatever reason, just refuses to deal with or have any degree of accountability for dealing with these obvious terrorists that are in the country. And because of that, I think you're going to start seeing an uptick of violence from right-wing people as well. And this is going to be, in my opinion, I don't really think the word is justified, because it's not justified, but the word is expected. I think it's going to be expected. The fact is that, again, you bring a knife to a gunfight, you're going to lose. And don't be surprised when you keep bringing guns to gunfights and then somebody else decides to start shooting back. I think that's what's going to happen. And I think this is a degradation of society as a whole. And ultimately, the real burden of responsibility here doesn't really fall on influencers, and I don't think that it falls even on the commenters themselves. I think it falls primarily on the government. The fact is that the government, there are already laws that permit, explicit calls to violence. There's already laws that permit the types of stalking and doxing that people engage in online. And one of the big things that is a misconception is that people like me want new laws. We want any form of extra censorship at all. I certainly don't want that, and I don't know anybody else that does either. But what we do want is we want the existing laws to be applied and to be enforced in an accurate and a fair way, which is clearly not what's happening. And really, the government not doing that and giving this asymmetrical, in my opinion, advantage to left-wing people to fully and with complete freedom practice genuine terrorism on a daily basis, and then congratulate each other about how moral and how good they are for doing it because of something bad that happened in Palestine or something bad that Donald Trump did 3 years ago. This is just simply a response. This is what's going to happen. And so, and I think that that's probably what it's going to take for these left-wing people to realize what a bad idea what they've been doing is. Because until it starts happening to them, until they start having people that are their friends or, their, like icons that they look up to, the same way people looked up to Charlie Kirk, until they start seeing those people get killed, I don't think it's really going to be real for them. And unfortunately, I think that's the path that we're headed down because of the government and social media companies and every other seemingly governmental apparatus that has just completely hand-waved this problem and ignored it entirely. So the death of Charlie Kirk and the assassination of him should not come as a surprise to anyone. This should be something that everybody could have expected. All you had to do is read Twitter for an hour and you could have told me this would have happened, of course. Same with Reddit. And until that core problem is addressed, you will continue to see a rapid decline in any type of social discourse. And I'm actually kind of afraid to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, that about covers it. Well, guys, I've covered this as long as I can. I need a mental break. I've been covering this for 3 hours. And I need a mental break. Not for least of reasons that I made the very questionable decision when someone said, hey, I think it hit his chest and then bounced off. And then I decided, you know what sounds like a really good idea? What if I watched like these 5 frames over and over and over again, trying to figure out exactly what happened? And that turned out to be a really bad decision for me mentally. That was a bad call. I shouldn't have done that. So, and I've been, stewing a little bit now, and I'm not, necessarily in the bestest of places. So I think it's time for me to bail on this stream. Is there someone I can send you over to for some more coverage or something? Who's streaming? I'll send you somewhere. Is anyone streaming? No. Robert might be streaming. Yeah, Robert's streaming. I'll bounce you over to Robert Rivera. You'll have fun over there. Later. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.